Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Six Nations. Now, the last game that we covered, France versus Ireland, it wasn't as close as some had hoped. This game between Italy and Scotland, though, it is expected to be the closest of the weekend. The Italians come in as underdog, but they have got their home field advantage, which could make this a very intriguing type of matchup. Looking through at the way that the table sits at the moment, as you can see there, France at the top of the bunch with that bonus point victory over the Irish. They sit with a plus 22 on the points differential, so already getting in the perfect position for the start of this competition. One of their later games is up against England. That is also in France, so really big favourites to go on to win the Six Nations. But looking through at these two starting lineups, we will start with the home side in the Italians, and it is Danilo Fischetti starting in the number 1 jersey, Nicotera at 2, and Simeone Ferrari starting in as the number 3. Canoni and Zabonin will be the locking duo with Mikel Lamaro at 6, Zuliani at 7, and Lorenzo Canoni, he is there as the number 8. Alejandro Fusco as the starting number 9 with Polo Garbisi at 10. The other Garbisi going to be making his way off the bench in Alejandro. Monte Ioani out on the left wing, Tommaso Manoncello and Juan Inesio Brex as the midfielders, and then Lewis Liner, the always dangerous winger, and Leonardo Marin at number 15. So no Ange Capuzio for this contest, which I feel was a bit of a hit to this Italian side, but overall still a pretty decent looking team taken to the field up against the Scottish and the Scottish side for the starting lineup. It is Pierre Skurman, Ewan Ashman and Xander Fagerson as the front row, Cummings and Gilchrist to make up the locking duo with Matt Fagerson, Rory Darge and Jack Dempsey to make a formidable loose forward trio. Ben White and Finn Russell will be the two men in charge in terms of the Scottish attack. Jamie Dobie out on the left wing, Sione Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones make up the powerful midfield with Kyle Steyn out on the right and Tom Jordan at number 15. But those are the starting lineups, ladies and gentlemen. This game is only sitting around 10 or so minutes away from starting up. Of course, do let me know your score predictions in the chat, as well as who you think the key players are. Keep an eye on for this contest. We have got the evening, my friend. France have made a statement in this year's Six Nations. This game could be tight, says Joss. Yeah, I think, or at least I'm hoping, this is going to be the closest game. Scotland are anticipated to win it, and they actually had a very successful under-20s match not too long ago. So if that's anything to base it off, it could be relatively high scoring for the Scots. But yeah, hopefully closer than that last match that we did end up seeing. But France certainly putting their cards out on the table and showing exactly how dangerous they can be in front of that home crowd. Who has the home game between France and England when they play? It is a home game for France. So France actually play the other two favourites of the Six Nations in France. So if they don't win it, it would be very surprising. Definitely with what they were able to do up against Ireland in match number 1. Afternoon again, Hamish, looking refreshed for this clash, says Ruth. Yeah, currently we are almost reaching that 24-hour stage. Not quite. We've got another maybe 4 hours or so before we get there. But we're into the about probably 8th or 9th hour of live streaming for today. It's been a busy old time with the sevens going on. We now know the semi-finalists in that regard too. But yeah, I've been looking forward to these matches all throughout the whole contest, or all throughout the whole weekend, waiting for these to take place, and now they finally do. We have got there. The funny thing is that they're claiming that Prendergast is already a generational talent. When he is anything but, it's hysterical. Says Powerbite, yeah, he had a bit of a mixed game, didn't he, in that contest up against the French. I just think that Jalabert is so good, though, at the moment. And I know that I was really praising him throughout that last match, but I feel like he showed exactly what he can do, and I'm still picking him as the best 10 in the Six Nations, although Finn Russell, he's one that can maybe change my mind a little bit. That man has got the unpredictability of his attack. His way of finding gaps and creating opportunity for his Scottish team is always impressive. He has to get something big time going here up against the Italians. And Italy 29 to the Scots 22. Says how's it going with the 7-point victory to Italy. Italy 30 points to 25. Italy 36 to 33. A lot of people back in Italy in this contest by the looks of it. I just hope the Spaghetti Brothers can pull off a miracle again today, says Xander. But looking through at what is to come for these two sides, of course, Italy, they have still got quite a few more matches of the Six Nations. It does not get any easier, though, as the next game will be up against the Irish. That has taken place on the Sunday morning time, so the same time as this match is taking place. Then from there, they play France. Then they play England. So not exactly a nice draw for the Italians, although the benefit is one of those 3 games is at home. That is up against the English, and then the last week they play the Welsh, and they've got to play them at the Principality Stadium. So you'd have to say not a very favourable draw for this Italian side. They weren't expected to do that great in the Six Nations competition, but at least one win, I feel, could be on the cards for the Italians. It's just who will they beat? That is the question. They are just showing here the last time that these two sides played in Rome, it was actually the win for the Italians. That was back in 2024 when they were able to beat the Scottish, who have a 70% chance of going on to win this game for Scotland. In terms of what they have got to come in the Six Nations, they will be at home at Murrayfield, taking on the English next week. Then from there, they have the Welsh. They have France at Murrayfield too. So they actually have the 2 top sides at home. So if there was ever a time for Scotland to be able to pull off a big Six Nations campaign, it would be this one, and then at the Aviva for that last match up against the Irish. Scotland by 21 to 30 points, says Boy, and good afternoon. Am I welcome on your channel? You, my best friend, says Mahadine. You have been on it a lot throughout the last 24 hours or so, and it has always been greatly appreciated. You're popping back in for these games. Do you know how to catch haggis? Are you talking about like the sheep? Because of course haggis, you got to get the sheep first to be able to get it going. Are you Scottish? I think maybe way back in the day, there was a little bit of Scottish somewhere. But I don't actually know my roots per se, but yeah, I think there's some sort of Scottish connection there. And my name does sound Scottish, but I wasn't actually named for any reason, like for a Scottish name. It was just I looked like a Hamish, so I was named that. Am I also welcome on this channel? You certainly are, Xander. It is great to have you back once again in the 45 for 2 after 5.2 over, says Padza. And also we have the Italy 20 to Scotland's 45 is the prediction from Mohadin. And yeah, but both sides just making their way out onto the field, getting ready for this fixture. It is the second match of round number 1 in the Six Nations. Still to come tonight, there is England versus Wales. So plenty more excitement on the cards too. Pakistan won. They did a very impressive victory. West Indies also a hat-trick for the big man in that contest up against Scotland. Of course, that was not quite Scotland's performance of the day. This one is going to be in the Six Nations, you'd like to think. And what did you think of France's victory over Ireland? France, my favourite to win the Six Nations. I think they really looked impressive. Ireland did look a little bit lacklustre in that contest, and I would have loved to know how close that game could have been had it been for Ireland maybe having a few less handling errors along the way, but that is what happens. You know, you go into a game and you either play well or you don't, and Ireland had an off day in that contest. I wouldn't completely rule them out of the Six Nations. I do still think second or third, maybe even if France are defeated by someone. I don't know who's going to take them down yet. Who knows? Maybe it's the Scottish at Murrayfield. But yeah, either way, there's going to have to be something big that happens for anyone but France to win the Six Nations, unless, of course, England go all the way from start to finish without any losses and take out the Grand Slam. Did Australia win or lose? In the sevens, they managed to just narrowly sneak by over Great Britain, and I'm talking only very narrowly. So New Zealand are through to the semi-finals, taking on Fiji on the men's side of the draw. South Africa will be playing the Australians in the other semi-final. But Mikel Lamaro making his way out onto the field in Rome. Looks like a decent crowd for this contest. Juan Inacio Brax making his way out onto the field. I think this is a milestone game for 3 Italian players, which is pretty awesome to see. Normally you don't see a huge amount of players bringing up milestones at the same time, but Paolo Garbisi, Mikel Lamaro, and also Juan Inacio Brax all out there on the field at the moment. Do you play Fantasy Six Nations? I don't, only because I'm terrible at predictions, and I'm terrible at picking players who are going to do well, because I don't have bias, but every once in a while I pick a player purely because I think they're a good player, and then they have a terrible game. As Britain out, they actually are. Yeah, Great Britain missing out on the next stage of the competition. They are going head-to-head up against, I believe it would be Spain, though, in their upcoming fixture. And then Argentina will be playing France in the 5th place semis. I'm still shocked to 6th player New Zealand. I bet at Frenchies and Golden Point Madness, says Xander. Yeah, that was a crazy game of rugby sevens. Italy's rugby has really improved these last few years and are really difficult to beat on their own turf, says Felipe. Yeah, they've come a long way, Italy. And you know, that reputation that they had for a while was that the easy beat side of the Six Nations. That is nowhere near the case anymore. You know, they are a team that if they really put their mind to it and they play a solid game of rugby, you know, I can see them beating a lot of the sides in the top 10 over the next couple of years. Curious to see what they do in that Rugby World Cup in 2027, of course, as well. Italy is different kettle of fish at home. Scotland won't have it that easy away from home, says Mornay. And also, they did well against the Black Caps. They'll really blow the table, the T20 World Cup right open, says BTW. And good afternoon, Hamish, says Flesh, and welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing extremely well. Now, the Murrayfield feel of the national anthem won't quite be there for this matchup. I got there from Street Miles, has got youtube.com, and he's done his, is that like your link to your channel? Is that what you're doing there? A little bit of self-promo? At least tell us what your name is first, rather than just jumping straight in, try and plug your channel. We have got there a South Africa game against Italy in 2027. They do play off. So that's going to be a pretty tough group stage match. But at the same time, I feel like there's enough, there's enough of something there. And Blady Hillmack says Jason. And Italian spaghetti very saucy, says Ruth. And there too. But Flower of Scotland is being sung at the moment. It sounds like there's a few people there, by the sounds of it. Who's the referee for this match? I'm not actually sure who's in charge of this contest, if I'm being honest, but we will get to see them in a very short moment. England is going to destroy Wales. There's A.M. Vincent. And also, getting ready for the trauma later with alcohol. Says Fleshing in there too. Some big boys out there on the park. Pierre Skurman always loves a good scrum battle. He's up against Simeone Ferrari in this contest. Sione Tuipulotu's face looks angry at this point in time. He looks like he's well and truly determined and ready to go out there on the park. But he is the type of player that if he has a massive game here, going to be a tough one to deal with. We have got there, what does South Africa play the same team in 2027? I mean, they do play Italy in that 2027 Rugby World Cup group stage. It's going to be really interesting. Tough game on both sides. Wishing Italy and Scotland good luck. May the best team win today. This isn't right. India now 46 for 4. That's not going too well for them at the moment. Also, Windy's player got a hat-trick and 4 wickets in that over. He did. And then he also took a catch afterwards as well. He had a very good match-up. The Italian national anthem in front of a Rome crowd. Sounds like they've got a decent amount of support in the stands for this matchup. And that is the type of thing that can just make this Italian side reach that next level with their passion. They will go into this contest thinking that they can win it. And honestly, the odds don't look terrible against them in this matchup overall. It could have been much worse, I would say. But Scottish side, there is high expectation on them away from home to be able to perform in this matchup. Whether or not they can could be a whole different story. Do let me know who you guys think will score the first try of this fixture in terms of the exact player. I can see an early Scottish try, I would say. But then from there, I do think Italy have probably got 2 or 3 in them, at least in this match, depending on how the momentum does sway. Monty Ioane, he's always one to keep an eye out for, going head-to-head with Kyle Steyn. There's so many good head-to-heads in this matchup. And by the way, Badze and still Google says 83% chance to win. Says Xander there. They have just let off some fireworks by the looks of it with some Italian colours. I will mention that camera angle looked like it had a few raindrops on the lens, so there might be a bit of a wet game like we saw in the match last night between France and Ireland, the day prior. The 50th cap bringing up for Mikel Lamaro. It's the first of 3 players who are bringing up a milestone match. 50th cap for Juan Inacio Brix and 50th for Paulo Garbisi in this game too. What do you think of the upcoming T20 World Cup? They think India are favourites with South Africa second favourites. India, in their home conditions, you'd think would do pretty well. Do they play at the Winter Olympics? Love to see rugby played in the snow. It'd be interesting, that is for sure. As long as the ground's not completely frozen, would be the main thing. But I can imagine players diving into areas of snow in the try, like kind of over the try line. That would be quite entertaining to watch. But we don't actually have rugby union at the regular Olympics. Rugby sevens though, so maybe one day we find some sort of variation of rugby. And I'm sure that it's played somewhere in the snow, right? And thank God this game is on BBC and not ITV. But as I type that, you go to the split screen advert, says Fleshin. I'm scared in this World Cup, says Padza. And great job, Kiwi Lad, says Mark. And it is great to have you here once again for this contest. This one just about to get underway, but another game just around the corner too. That'll be the match taking place between England and Wales. That one's expected to be one of the more one-sided games of the Six Nations round, but hopefully that is not the case. And we get a little bit of a close game between the two sides. But Finn Russell, the man at the helm. Scotland are wearing that kind of lilac colour. Ben O'Keefe is the referee in charge of this one. Rugby match in the snow, that will be interesting. And James Dolman, the assistant referee. Ferrucci is also an assistant. And I didn't quite get to see the TMO before they took it away. But I'm hoping that we don't get introduced to the TMO at all in this matchup, with a little bit of luck at the Stadio Olimpico. Now ready to go. The countdown is on for this contest. Before we get underway, Johannes is going for the Scotland by 25 prediction there. Do Wales have a good team? They're not great, but they aren't absolutely terrible. I still feel like they might get a win in the Six Nations comp. I just don't know who it will be up against. But claimed inside of the 22 by Jack Dempsey, the Scottish number 8. He's probably not a bad shout for a first try scorer in this matchup, to be fair. Rolling it back, Ben White from inside of the 22. A lot of yelling already going on out there on the field, and we're only 25 seconds in, but the clearing kick from Scotland does find touch, and Italy will get themselves the line out 40 metres out from the Scottish line. And the Black Caps and Scotland score first, then Italy come roaring back, says Ruth. Yeah, the last thing that you want to do up against an Italian side in Italy is give them half a chance and make them think that they've got a great chance of winning a game, because then that will just fuel their passion all throughout the matchup. With this being the first game, we may see a little bit of rust for both sides. That line out was going to be won by Italy before they knocked it on. Now Ben White fires it off to the right-hand side. Now for Scotland, they haven't got Darcy Graham in the starting lineup. He will be making his way off of the bench, and also no Duan Funamurva at all in the Scottish team for the contest. Ewan Ashman, he runs it forward. Now back across to the left-hand side. Kyle Stain goes to Tui Palotu. Hugh Jones waiting for it on the outside. In fact, joining the line was Tom Jordan. Now Russell goes across this time to Hugh Jones. Steps around the tackle attempt of Kanoni, but is wrestled down. Still inside of their own half here, Scotland. I'm English, but I must admit Scotland has the best national anthem. It's always awesome listening to those bagpipes. And even away from home, it's still it's very impressive to listen to. And now ball is out. Ben White kicks this one high yet again down towards the halfway line. Going up for the ball. Almost able to take it was Kyle Stain, but he has lost that one. In fact, I've said it was back off the Italian, so it will be play on. Scotland now in possession. Finn Russell looking for a 50-22. I believe it was taken back. And it's a law that has been changed in Super Rugby. You are now able to take it back into your half, but not in the Six Nations. And a good clearing kick from Monty Ioane. Bit of a seesaw, bit of a back and forth kicking battle at the moment for the two sides. And a Kiwi in charge of this match. The New Zealand referee, this match is in good hands. And also we've got the Italy will start hot. Scots come back, but Italy score late to steal it, says Badza. I hope you're right in terms of it being close and going down to the wire. I feel like the last thing we want in the first round of the Six Nations is 3 one-sided games, but it could happen. Nicely taken at the front of the line out by Matt Fagus, and that was then knocked on by the Scottish. A bit of a mistake made when they were just trying to set their maul, which gives the Italians the scrum feed from just inside of their own half. And hashtag give us Eddie Jones. It's trending in New Zealand for some reason, says Xander. And the Scottish emblem is the clover. The one with 4 leaves is a token of good luck, says Philippi. Scottish emblem is a clover. Is it? I thought it was a thistle. Oh, penalty goes the way of Scotland. Actually, Italy getting penalised for closing the gap there at line-out time. Number 1 early drive, that is against Danilo Fischetti, so it gives Scotland the early chance to be able to get some territory going. His favourite 3 national anthems, I'm saying Scotland, Wales and Springboks. It's probably a fair shout. To be fair, I do like the Welsh national anthem predominantly when it's at the Principality. I feel like that's the best location for it. In fact, home ground for anyone is the best location. This might not be a popular opinion. Slowly coming around to the French national anthem just a little bit in terms of it's heading up there into my maybe top 5 at the moment. I do enjoy listening to it. before the match, and also when the crowd starts singing it during the match. There's just something about it that's quite nice. As a Kiwi, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I'm going to. 4 minutes into the game, Italy managed to get this ball back for themselves. And Fusco now has put it high and doesn't manage to find touch with it. Kyle Steyn chopped down. 42 metres out from the line. Ben White goes back to the left-hand side here. French anthem is great, says Fleshin. And boo France, boo, says John there. The Italian pack might cause a lot of hardship for Scotland to deal with. Yeah, there's plenty of physicality out there on the field for the Italians. Finn Russell going for the kick and behind yet again, trying to play a bit of territory. Italy will have themselves the line out 25 metres out from their own line. Thanks, buddy, says Philippi. And also, definitely the Welsh anthem is best then, Marseilles. And it's the Thistle, says Barry. Just showing there, Scotland led the 2025 tournament with 885 carries. That's a lot when you consider the fact that they only played 5 games of rugby. A lot of those carries did go through the hands of Finn Russell when it came to those back carries as well, creating chances for the Scottish side. Now passing it off to the right-hand side. Finds the hands of Lorenzo Canoni this time. Both brothers back in the starting lineup. There was a bit of an injury. I think it was in July, wasn't it, for one of the Canonis? Or was it actually November, where one of them was missing for a bit? Knock on from Kyle Steyn, cleaned up by Fusco. Fires it across to Paulo Garbisi. Now trying to kick downfield. That's actually sconed the player right in the forehead. I think that was Sione Tuipulotu. Hopefully he doesn't need an HIA after taking that one to the Swede. Currently 5 minutes into this game. It's quite fast-paced at the moment between the sides. And also Italy and Scotland, my ancestors. Here's a toast to both, says JD. Being told to use it once more. Roll back for Alejandro Fuso, or Fusco, I should say. Now to the halfway line, charging onto that one was Hugh Jones jumping up. In fact, it was Tom Jordan. I've confused those two multiple times. Very similar haircuts, but that is a penalty going the way of the Italians. Working the breakdown from the home team, and they will now create their chance to get some attack going. They sound like a confectionery. 2 Canonis, please. Says, cited. There's a cannoli, isn't there? I guess that's pretty similar. What is a cannoli? It's got cream in it, doesn't it? I've never had a cannoli. I only know about them from that movie Grown Ups, where the bloke was eating his cannoli. But other than that, I guess there's canola, the oil. Have you ever cried during a national anthem? Not that I know of. I've heard a national anthem and I was like, that's an absolute banger. I remember it was actually the Irish national anthem about 3 years ago in the Sevens. The version that they played was just absolutely lit, as the kids would say. Now going back across to the right-hand side. Tack and run forward in the midfield for Mononcello. All right, again here. Scotland stand out like a sore thumb in the bright purple and pink for this contest. But now chance to kick it in behind. Lewis Liner chasing after it. It will be the early try for the Italians. And they score first at home. They have struck first in Rome. And they take the lead in this contest. Brilliant kicking behind. I think that was Juan Ignacio Brex who went for the kick there. And Scotland caught out a little bit defensively as Lewis Liner slides in and scores try number 1. Now we have there, I want Ireland and Scottish ancestors. Oh, sorry, I have Ireland and Scottish ancestors, but I want to see Italy win. That is a great kick in behind, and that is going a long way towards the right direction for the Italians if they keep on doing plays like that. But Lewis Liner, the pace, and it's slippery out there, so able to just slide on over without any sort of contact on him. And appreciated lyrics are amazing. Yes, Fleshin, says Philippi. And is this a year Italy win the Six Nations? I think we're a bit early to start predicting them to win the Six Nations. But, you know, if they win this game, they are closer than some teams are to winning it. But there's still a lot to do. Like I mentioned, they have to play France in France. They have to play England in England. But they face... Oh, sorry, no, they face Ireland and... Wait, where do they play them? I had it up before and now I've forgotten. Where do Italy play those sides? Yeah, they play Ireland at home, France at home, and then they have England in Italy. So 3 away games to win the Six Nations would be absolutely huge. Now, of course, we're still very early on. That kick has missed. So that means that it does remain as 5-0. There's a knock-on from the Italians off kickoff. It will be Scotland's scrum. And as this year, oh no, I read that one, didn't I? Caramel Magnum or pizza. I actually haven't had a caramel Magnum in a very long time. I've been relatively well behaved. I got into the chocolate eclairs mid-January. That was dangerous. Those things are just calories for days, but they taste very nice. I do one for the Mervyn, not in the team. I will be certain. If he was in the Stormers squad, says Mornay. And also 23-34 final score. Scotland scored 2 late tries and pull away in the final 7 minutes and 39 seconds. That's a very specific time. And now scrum going down. Not literally. Oh no, now it has gone down. The advantage goes the way of Scotland. Ben White moves it away to Finn Russell. Straightening run from Sione Tuipalotu. It's dragged down by Fusco. Off to the left-hand side yet again here. This time for Jack Dempsey. Wonder how many points ahead Italy have to be before they become favourites in this contest rather than underdogs. They currently lead 5 points to 0. Scotland, though, they are in a good position on the field to be able to get some phases going. Currently, Italy, even though they are leading 5-0, are still $3.40 underdogs. Penalty is awarded now, though, to Scotland. What's colour of the Scottish kit? They are wearing purple and lilac are the colours that they've got at the moment. And also we have the Are You streaming any T20 World Cup games? I'm hoping to, but it's going to be tricky just with the amount of overlaps that there are with the other games of rugby and whatnot. Plus work during the week does make it difficult because if a game starts at 2:30am, I won't be able to cover it if I'm starting at 8am in the morning, or at least I probably shouldn't. But we'll see. I'm hoping to do maybe 3 or 4 games along the competition if I'm lucky. Maybe a couple more if I can squeeze them in, but it will have to work out that there aren't too many overlaps during it. I saw that the Chiefs are $1.52 favourites over the Blues at Eden Park, while the Blues sitting $2.45. That's a bit surprising, seeing as, Eden Park normally go, well, to be fair, it hasn't gone the best for the Blues throughout the last 2 seasons, has it? Now, Italy have got themselves possession yet again, so another mistake made by Scotland when it came to their line-out, losing possession, and the ball straight back with the Italians. That is now 2 times that Scotland have turned down 3-pointers, although one of them would have been a tough kick. It was inside of their own half. Now chance here for Tom Jordan to run this one back, running it at an angle to the left-hand side, down towards Lewis Liner's wing. And he's got in the breakdown. Ooh, didn't have the ball though. Now bumping it off. Now right-hand side, chance here. Finn Russell can't quite break his way through. Now Ben White back across. Dash. Now Gilchrist. I've said here 15th season of international rugby. Which is crazy to think about because most guys do struggle to get to the 10-year mark, let alone adding another 5 years on it. Nice attack and run from Ewan Ashman, 25 metres out from the line at the moment here for Scotland. Matt Ferguson with the carry and the penalty awarded to the Italian side entry from Grant Gilchrist. And Italy, they do survive in their 22 once more. Do Springboks play any of the Six Nations team this year? They certainly do. They have got games in July as well as November. This rain's looking like it's a little bit heavier than I first thought it was. Okay, Mikel Lamaro just having a little bit of a discussion there with the referee, saying that something was going on in the breakdown. Ahoy, says Juan Pierre Bosch. And we have got there, somehow I am not surprised that Italy has a try in their pocket already. Playing home and the sport is totally nuts. Gives wings to the Italian team, says Felipe. And yeah, if they can keep this momentum going, they've won a couple early penalties as well. If they can keep this going throughout 80 minutes, they will be very hard to beat here. But the slight problem that they may find themselves with soon is if 1 or 2 decisions go Scotland's way, sometimes Italy can drop their head a little bit. But that's the last thing that they want here. Getting that early try made a massive difference, though, I think, to just the confidence of this Italian side going off to the left hand. Currently sitting around the halfway line for Italy. Hamish, when you come into South Africa to watch rugby, says Sean, I have made a little bit of a goal that hopefully it would be before 2030. But I've done some calculations and it's going to be a pricey venture. Now out wide, Manoncello for the corner. It's the second try of the match for the Italians. They are running rampant in Rome again. This wasn't supposed to happen in terms of this scoreline. I can tell you that right now. Scotland's defence has gone on holiday. And 10 tries for Tommaso Manoncello. Not in this match, of course, just in general. And Scotland asleep, says JD. And Scotland will win. They got South African players. And who's the referee? 16 versus 15 makes a difference, says Jack. So the referee in this game is Ben O'Keefe. That is well taken by Lewis Liner. He has had a hand in both tries that have been scored. And how do I tell you this? Says John, and told you. What did I say? Italy was going to start hot. Says Pedza. That is a huge in-goal area too, so Manoncello, he considered running it round to make it a slightly easier kick. The last one was missed by Garbisi. He has struck that one to go just over the post. It didn't have a huge amount of distance on it for Garbisi, but it works out nonetheless, and 12-0 now in favour of the Italians. The game was over 2 days ago, says John, and I'm telling you the sport for this team as such that those guys are going to fly today. Says Felipe. But yeah, 15 minutes into a dream start in this contest for the Italians. Lewis Liner, he knew how crucial his try was, but he was celebrating big time for that second one. I bet Rugby Hitch will come to South Africa much earlier than you. Says Mornay, potentially, although he is more likely to go to Zimbabwe. He's actually been there recently due to family being there. But, you know, he might make the trip down to South Africa while he's at it. One's going to be a kick downfield from the Italians. Nicely taken by Tom Jordan at the back. Scotland need a counter, and they need it soon. Of course, a game of 80 minutes. If this was a game of sevens, it would already be over. We've covered plenty of those throughout today, but Scotland now looking for the box kick again with Ben White. Charging onto it was Polo Garbisi, but a massive knock-on from him. Now gives Scotland the counter-attack. Finn Russell tries to skip past, bouncing it into the hands of his winger, Jamie Dobie. Now across to the right. Thought about the short pass there, Darge to Ferguson, but decides to hang on to it. Who plays for the Springboks? That plays for Scotland. Who plays for the Springboks? None of these guys who are out there on the field play for both sides internationally, but Xander Ferguson had a little knock on there from Scotland, and Gregor Townsend. You can see the frustration on his face at the moment. 62% possession for Scotland, but they haven't turned it into any points at this stage of the match. And they're just talking about the difference between a good side and a bad side. They're pretty much calling Scotland out for not taking their chances here. It's going to be a crazy day with both underdogs will win, says Angie. Oh, so you're saying the Welsh are going to get the win over the English as well here? That would be a huge day in the Six Nations, that is for sure. And I Hamish says, please and tease. Welcome in. Hope you are doing very well at the moment. The Italians are leading in this contest, and they are still underdogs in this match. Even though they are leading 12-0, they are still $1.87 compared to Scotland's $1.97 for Italy compared to $1.87 of Scotland. It's quite surprising at the moment the way that it sits. They obviously feel like Italy have had a dream start, but they are going to slow down at some point in this match, and that is what Scotland will be hoping as the free kick is awarded to the Italians 40 metres out from their own line for the early push from Scotland. Chipped in behind. Does find the touchline, 28 from Scotland's line. Scotland look very rusty even with all that possession. And also, why is Duan Whanamurva not playing? I'm not actually too sure what the reasoning is behind it. I'm not sure if it's injury-based or just strategy from this team. Maybe saving him for a few of the other, what they consider, I guess, big games. But then saying that, they may have underestimated the Italians here. Ewan Ashman throws it in. Not the straightest line out, but it is straight enough, says Ben O'Keefe. Jack Dempsey now looking to run it forward. I've got there, I've said it before, Townsend has to go, says Benzie, and using Premier Sport has now commentary, and you as my commentator, says Verhorgen. Hopefully I've said that correctly, but yeah, at the moment for me, I'm at 18 minutes and 7 seconds for anyone does want to try and sync up a little bit. Grant Gilchrist, now 2-man tack on him by Nicotera, and also Mikel Lamaro, the captain, and Scotland playing as bad as Ireland were on Thursday, says Self. And India 72 for 5 after the 11.4 overs. Now another knock on from the Italians. Oh, a little bit of a hesitation there from Finn Russell. A new advantage. This time becomes a penalty advantage rather than a knock on. That is for offside against Italy. Question is, what do Scotland do here? Oh, big chopping tackle from Nicotera. Taking down Xander Ferguson 40 metres out from the Italian line. Now Ben White goes back to the short side, does get hit hard. Piers Schoolman look for the offload. It is knocked on by Ferguson. They'll go back for that penalty. And a wake up Scotland, says Alan Reid there. And also, nice game, France beat Ireland. And a few so-called experts reckoned Italy would not be the whipping boys. I tried getting odds on Italy coming third in the Six Nations, says Jack. So you're saying so-called experts picked that Italy would do well, or you're saying that they picked that they wouldn't do well? I assume you're saying that they would do well. But yeah, I've said it from the start. Italy are a dangerous underdog in this competition. And I actually have said the same thing about Wales a little bit, because those are the type of teams that if they can get one good day, they can completely destroy a team's hopes of winning the Six Nations. You know, whether that's Scotland beating England in the head-to-head that those two sides have, whether it's Italy somehow pulling off the victory over the Irish, or up against, well, if anyone beats France, they'd thoroughly deserve the competition, of course. Going off to the right-hand side, Scotland currently 5 metres out from the try line. Jack Dempsey with the carry once more. Grant Gilchrist pops it up to Piers Schoolman. It's good defence so far from the Italians. I don't think it's been fully tested, though, throughout this match. As of yet, there haven't been enough phases in a row from the Scottish to really get Italy scrambling. Rory Darsh looks off to the right. Good hard collision there with the Italian forwards. 7 metres out from the line. No advantage as of yet for the Scottish. They'll be hoping one pretty soon. Xander Ferguson with a pick and go round the side, tackled by Lamaro. Solid defence from the Italians, though, throughout the first 8 phases of the Scottish attack. Almost able to get the steal and the breakdown there. Now, Ben White have to be... Oh, this is an interesting setup here for Scotland. They've got about 10 men on the short side, and then someone has just situated themselves right out on the wing. I think it's Jamie Doby. They may look for a cross kick here. There's an advantage now for offside, so they are 100% going to be kicking this one if you're Finn Russell, and he gets his hands on the ball. Ewan Ashman dragged down 5 metres short of the try line yet again here. Bit of a counter-ruck from the Italians. Ball's still available on the side of Scotland. Rory Darsh pick and go to the right-hand side. Still the 7 metres out. Not really going forward at the moment, although Xander Ferguson does a nice little jump to get a couple extra metres in the favour of Scotland. Kyle Stein, big collision with Montijuani and Paulo Garbisi. Ben White wins the cross kick coming. Finn Russell is at the helm, so surely it's coming soon. And it looks like it's wide open out wide, unless, of course, there is someone waiting out on the wing. Ben White now moves it on to the left-hand side. Big collision with Hugh Jones, getting driven backwards by, it was Manoncello and Liner. They'll go back for the initial penalty now. And Italy, I got that Chiefs defence, says John. Yeah, they've looked very strong defensively. I mentioned how it hadn't really been tested, but those were about 15 phases in a row now where they were not budging. Right. The decision here from Scotland looks like it's going to be a tap and go from Ewan Ashman. Number 5 was the man offside. That is Zambonin. But now a quick tap taken by Ewan Ashman. Dragged down 3 metres short. Tell you what, that's close to a turnover there for Zuliani. He's got over the ball. Referee didn't tell him to get out of it. Now he gives away the penalty advantage. That is unfortunate for the Italians, as they thought they were well and truly allowed to go for that possession. Ben White off to the left-hand side now. Jack Dempsey dragged down 5 short. Ball pops out the side. It will go back for the penalty again. Dangerous part of the field for Italy to be giving away those penalties, and Nicotera was not rolling away. So that is what that penalty was for. Right, now what do Scotland do? They've tried a tap. They haven't scored. They've tried the line out. They haven't scored. Do they go scrum? It looks like Ewan Ashman said, I'll have another tap if I have to. And that is exactly what they are going to do. Ewan Ashman thrown at the line. 4 Italians make the tackle on him. They are everywhere at the moment defensively, but is there going to be an opportunity for Scotland to create a chance? Now Rory Darsh, pick and go, 2 metres short of the try line. This is now the danger area. Ball comes out the side, a little bit scrappy there in the breakdown for the Scottish, but it still pops out the back. There's an advantage, and Dempsey goes over to score the try. And they find the gap that leads to the Scottish first score of the contest. It has taken them 24 minutes to be able to find it, but they finally do. Okay, they're just saying there that the Italian player was offside. But yeah, just nicely done. And the rush defence from Nicotera just left Simeone Ferrari pretty much dead on the try line. No chance to be able to slow down Dempsey when he had that forward momentum. However, I think Scotland needed to have more Italian espresso this morning. Although now they're starting to fire up a little bit. They are far from out of this game. It looks like Finn Russell just having a conversation here with the water boy. Taking almost that full minute. And the roommate go, the Kiwi lad says JD. And oh, goody gumdrops. Is that an ice cream flavour in other places around the world as well? Or is it just a saying, out of curiosity? Because here in New Zealand, we have goody gumdrop ice cream. Which, like, I guess it's just gumdrops in ice cream. But it's called goody gumdrop. It used to be quite nice. Hey, Jack Dempsey doing a lot of pointing at his brain there after managing to score that one try from you. Jack Dempsey was the man who was able to score it. Scotland now get back into this game, 12 points to 7. That one's booted high by Ben White. Waiting for it to come down round the halfway line. Put high again, this time by the Italians. Taken nicely by Tom Jordan. Niall and Hamish, and now they don't have the flavour here in the US. Or no, they don't have the flavour. And where do you live in New Zealand? I am in the South Island. About halfway in between Dunedin and Christchurch. In terms of location. Oh, charged down there. He was offside by an absolute mile, though, for Niccolò Canoni. The referee did yell out no, and then Canoni went, okay, that means go. We've actually got someone in our cricket team who says go rather than no when it comes to their calling. There's normally a lot of run-outs involving that man. And hey, Hamish, a cup of tea for you. New Zealand versus Afghanistan cricket match coming up. Says Pips Wax. And that's for the commentary, mate. Currently working in Italy, so I will be keeping track of the matches with your commentary. Says Fantastic Rugby Geek, and it is greatly appreciated you being here. We are going to be live for a majority, if not all, of the Six Nations games. So I don't have any plans of missing any just at this stage. But yeah, plenty more coming up in the near future, including England versus Wales. That one is just around the corner too, kicking off at 5:45 a.m. New Zealand time. This one wasn't, 5:40 a.m. New Zealand time that one would be. Gilchrist's ass is out. He's had his pants fully pulled down in the rolling maul. And he's got an Italian behind him. Got to be careful. Now rolling forward here a little bit further. Now told to use it here for Scotland. Ben White fires it away to Sione Tuipulotu. Pops it in behind Finn Russell. Now skip pass out to Hugh Jones. Good cover defence here from the Italians. Just slowly drifting across to be able to make the tackle. What time is it in New Zealand? At the moment it's 3:38 a.m. And we are on to our, I want to say about our 10th hour of live streaming for the day. Maybe our 9th. Fun fact, whoever wins the Six Nations still comes second to the box. It's not quite how the Six Nations works. Now, ball's going to be there again. Ben White going off to the right-hand side to the try scorer, Jack Dempsey. Now 13 minutes now remaining. Grant Gilchrist has pulled his pants back up and he has popped it off to Piers Schumann, who's tackled. Drop ball from Kyle Stain. Now Monty Ioane. Breakaway chance there for the Italians. Tried the kick downfield. It was charged down by Scotland. Picked up by the fullback Leonardo Marin. Kicked it across field. Advantage now over. Scotland with a counter-attacking chance. Jamie Dobie went for the chip and behind. Tackles the Italian in the air. And he is furious here, Mononcello. What is the decision going to be? It looks like the call was going to be line out for Scotland, but now becomes the penalty to Italy for the tackle in the air. And India 77 for 6 after 13 overs against the USA. Says Mornay, although to be fair, USA still have to bat on that surface. So it might be tricky. And we have got there, why am I awake when I have golf in the morning? Says Patsy, that is a brilliant question. The shoulder isn't binded, why is it a pin? Says not Tofu. Are we talking about the tackle in the ear one, right? I think it's because of the fact that he forced him into touch from tackling him while he was in an aerial position is the main reason that became a penalty. If he hadn't pushed him into touch, they may have let it slide because there wasn't a massive amount of force, but because he pushed him out, they said that, like, because he was in the air, he's at a disadvantage compared to the guy who's on the ground pushing him. Hopefully that makes sense. Looks like a change here already. Nathan Macbeth going to make his way onto the field. And that is going to be for, I believe, Piers Schumann, who's already being taken off. It's a surprise. I'd assume that's injury-based. Surely. India versus USA, relax. It's just a warm-up game. It's actually it's a part of the group stage. So India will not be happy if they do lose that one. No, the one where Scotland did a caterpillar ruck. Tried box kicking and Italy blocked it. Says not Tofu. I assume that's what Kanani was saying because he was holding on to his shoulder, wasn't he? Oh, awkward landing for Jamie Dobie. Being told to use it again here for Ben White. It's not a warm-up game at all, says John. And now Matt Fagerson joins that breakdown, and Ben White again from inside of his 22 will try and get this one towards the sideline. Just stays in the field of play. Very nicely taken by Polo Garbisi, 40 metres out from the Italian line. Now Montejoani fires the wide cutout pass to Manoncello. He's already scored on that far side of the field. Looking to do it again. Nicotera now 35 metres out from the Scottish line, looking short side again for Fusco to Juan Inacio Brex. The half centurion in this game. Fusco goes short side, and he's just booted that straight out on the full. That was an interesting choice from the Italian 9. Can I get a game time update? It is currently 30 minutes and 11 seconds for myself. And also, top man doing this game, considering time is where you are. Thank you, great commentary. Says John, thank you very much. But yeah, these games for the Six Nations, they are well and truly worth getting up for in terms of just entertainment of these games. Definitely the way that this one started. It's got potential of being the closest game of the weekend, and hopefully, well, to be fair, it doesn't have to beat much at the moment. Closest game so far was 22 points difference. So I'd like to think this one would be separated by less than that. Yeah, the ref penalty called against Italy. It's an obvious mistake called, says not Tofu. And also, India 86 for 6. At the moment, nice take from Montejoani under the high ball. He is crunched by Grant Gilchrist. Looking for the steal there in the breakdown. Scotland just not quite on the ball, instead on the man. Now looking to go to the right-hand side, or at least it looked that way for Fusco. Bit of disruption in the breakdown from Scotland now. Garbisi kicks it downfield. Liner chasing after it. Makes the low tackle on Jordan. And a penalty awarded to Scotland. Oh, penalty to Italy for obstruction. I was confused at how they ended up getting penalised there, Italy. They didn't look like they did too much wrong. And in fact, it wasn't them who did the wrong. It was Scotland. Italy now have the chance of, if they want the 3 points, they could look at it. Potentially slot it over. Or you go aggressive. You kick for the corner and you just keep on trying to create more attacking chances. Garbisi's got a decision to make. He's having a chat to Zabonin. Normally, if a lock's involved in the discussion, it means line out is on the cards. That one has gone out from the Italians, about maybe 20 metres out from Scotland's line. Thank you, lad. I found the Kiwi lads. Great commentary. Says Mark, and thank you very much for being here. We are going to be here for the Six Nations, the July Internationals. We cover Super Rugby on the channel, the URC, the Sevens. Pretty much anything rugby related coming up on the channel. And also maybe a little bit of cricket in there too, if we do get the spare time. But Nicotera now ready for this line-out throw. The Italians sitting inside of Scotland's 22. And ball stolen by Grant Gilchrist, but anticlimactically, if that's a word, it goes back into touch. As soon as he slapped it out, it literally went out. So now Nicotera has another line-out throw from pretty much the exact same spot. But now Italy may be a bit hesitant for this line-out. Will they go short? Or do they go to the middle? I think that Grant Gilchrist, he's looking forward to getting thrown up in the air again. Matt Fagerson, they throw him up this time, and that will be an advantage for the Italians. They threw him across the gap. And now Italy's starting to get a rolling maul going. They've got about 6 or 7 men in this rolling maul at this point in time. Although it's going slowly towards the sideline, they'll be told to use it soon by Ben O'Keefe as it starts to cut away from the touch. You have the penalty advantage, says Ben O'Keefe, so pretty much that was him saying, hurry up and use it, or else we'll go back for said penalty. Fusco fires it away to the left-hand side. And Scotland are behind the world, says Kyle. They are currently behind by 5 in this contest, but they'll be looking to get this one moving in the second 40 minutes. Only 6.5 remaining of this first half, though. Plenty of time. Oh, drop kick attempt here for Polo Garbisi. Does miss. And he missed that. It was straight out in front of the post, but he does hook it away to the side. Now Italy do have the decision. Do they want to take the 3 off winning that penalty, or do you go again for the corner? How many matches today? So we've still got England versus Wales. It is going to be taking place in 2 hours' time, although we've got about 25 minutes of build-up for that stream, so be sure to pop in nice and early. And then from there, we've got the 7s later on. A great commentary pronunciation, very class. Says, Yeehaw Yolo, I believe that is. And there, thank you very much. Thank you for the time shout, says Green Tea. No worries at all. Currently, we are sitting 34 and a half minutes through. Alejandro Fusco fired it back into the pocket to Garbisi and just missed it away to the left-hand side of the post. Does strike this one now for the additional 3. The kick does go over, making the lead now 8 in favour of the Italians. 15 points to 7. I think they just turned off most of the lights. Oh no, they're doing a light show at the ground. Never mind, I thought that the power went out. But now, 15 points to 7. And we have got there, goody gumdrops originated in America. And go for the corner, put pressure on the Scots, says Padza. Oh, chance again here, a line break for Monty Ioane down the short side. He's 40 metres out from the line, tries to kick him behind. But as he was going for the boot, his leg was tackled. And he ends up knocking the ball on, looking for the kick behind from Scotland. It is charged down by Italy, putting all sorts of pressure on the Scottish team. It looks like we're going back for the initial knock-on. Will be Scotland's ball. And Italy beating those Frenchmen, absolute ball breakers to get the win, says JD. And I hate when it's raining, says short videos. At the moment, it looks like the Italians are absolutely loving the rain in Rome. It is actually much heavier than it started off as well, I should mention. Like, it is absolutely bucketing down for this game. What did you eat, says Mohadeen? The last thing that I ate was at about 1 a.m., I think. Yeah, it would have been about 1 a.m. and it was my lunch. Just because time zone's broken at the moment. And I had some eggs. People always make fun of how Kiwis say eggs, and I feel like I heard it there the first time that I said it. And we have got there, read my last chat, please, Hamish. Says John, it was, what do you mean getting up for? I haven't slept in 18 hours and 42 minutes. That's one that you wanted me to read, I assume. And where's Ruth today? Ruth was here just before. She commented about, I thought it was about 5 minutes ago that we saw Ruth. Maybe it wasn't. No, maybe it was the last live stream that we saw Ruth on. 36 and a half minutes through this game now. Old MacDonald had a farm as Hamish versus Afghanistan. And has Scotland ever won anything? Says Splash TV. They have won that cup that them and England compete for. Is it the Kolkata Cup? Or is that might be golf? What's the Kolkata Cup? That might be golf. What's the one called that they go up against the English for? But now Italy have got themselves the ball back after a bit of a shaky scrum from the Scots. Knocked on by Lewis Liner, but going back for the penalty in favour of Italy once more. And also Calcutta Cup, says John there. So yeah, they've won that a few times. Again, USA bet against India in tricky surface. It's going to be tough. Because you'd assume if India is struggling, then USA would probably really struggle. A long time no speak anyway. How was all the points scored, says LJ. Welcome in, LJ. So far we've seen Jack Dempsey score for Scotland. We've seen Lewis Liner score out wide early on in this game for the Italians. Manoncello scored on the other wing. And then we've seen the 3 points taken by the Italians as well. That was scored by Garbisi. No Duan, no Kinghorn, no wonder Scots are losing. Says short videos, although Italy are without Ange Capuzio, who I thought would have made a big difference in this game, but obviously Leonardo Marin's still doing all right in that 15 jersey, and defensively, Italy are still well and truly up there. Now 2 minutes remaining in this first half. I can't believe how quick this first 40 minutes has gone. The surface can change though. Says Dawn Edits. And yeah, Kolkata Cup is England versus Scotland. Says Fantasy. And now still absolutely pouring down. 90 seconds left in the first half. Oh, they're going to try another drop kick with Polo Garbisi. Struck that one a little bit better, but it's gone away to the right-hand side this time. Will now become a 22 dropout for the Scottish. It's an interesting tactic at the moment from Italy. They're just trying to play that game where, with their territory being in their favour, they're just trying to slot over any points that they can. With that new haircut, you look like Daryl Mitchell. Daryl Mitchell's got like a full-on buzz cut, doesn't he? At the moment, that rain is heavy. They just showed it from the wide angle, and you can see it absolutely bucketing down. The players are struggling to be able to catch the ball. Ewan Ashman knocks it backwards. Now, Ben White, he's going to decide to kick this one up high. I don't actually know who the aerial battle favours at the moment. I think Italy have been safer under it. But at the same time, it's pretty much a lottery when you're playing in conditions this wet. Ducking underneath the tackle attempt was Paolo Garbisi, just on the halfway line for the Italians with 30 seconds left in the first half. Back across to the right. And where is this being played? It is being played in Rome at the Stadio Olimpico. And it's a bit wet out there. Yes, it's actually, I think it's heavier rain than we saw between France and Ireland. And it was pouring down for that game too. And Scotland used to be dynamite in the rain. What gives says bar break. They just haven't been able to find their rhythm throughout this first half as of yet. It looks like Italy are happy enough just to close out this first half. They're just going with phase after phase. Now back into the pocket for Paolo Garbisi. That one is kicked into touch, and a solid first half coming here from this Italian team. 15 points to 7 at the halftime break. Okay, thanks. It looks much heavier. Says the Blues there. Says the Blue. We're making fun of Black Caps conceding 200 runs, so USA might chase the target against India. Says Dorney. And also, mate, what's going on, mate? Drop goals. FIFA 26 a few months away for the Italians. Says JD, and Italy doing well. They're doing extremely well. Throughout this first half, they have scored themselves the 2 tries, one for Lewis Linar, one for Tommaso Monticello. Just the 1 try coming so far for Scotland. That was Jack Dempsey. But outside of that, they haven't really looked like scoring a huge amount of tries. They've had times inside of the opposition 22. And from there, they just haven't really been able to kind of convert that. Everyone rate these from best to worst. Cars 1, Toy Story 1, John Wick 1, Endgame, Fast Furious 1. I haven't seen about 3 of those, so I won't be able to rate them. And we have got there, Italy are no more pushovers. I don't have World Rugby. I don't have World Rugby, says Sean. I'm not sure what you don't have World Rugby. I'm trying to work out what word is supposed to be there, but I can't work it out. Hi, Ruth, says Joe in there. And loud, noisy, and jugs of beer, says Ruth. So getting rowdy on a Saturday by the sounds of it. But just looking through at what is to come for these two sides. Or in fact, what we will do is we'll look a little bit further than just the Six Nations as well. While we're at it, for the Italians, the next game of the Six Nations will be up against the Irish. That has taken place in 7 days' time now. Same start time as this contest. Then they will be playing France. So 2 very tough games in a row. And then they have to play England. So you'd say the 3 hardest matches for the Italians has taken place week after week. Although they do get the bye week in between, or everyone gets that week off for heading back into the games taking place in 4 weeks' time. For the Welsh, they are playing the Italians in the final round of the Six Nations competition. So still plenty of excitement to come around the corner for the Scottish. They have got their game up against the England side next week for the Kolkata Cup. Then they play Wales. Then it is France at Murrayfield. And then up against the Irish at the Aviva. Close out their Six Nations. I can't believe that the last round of the Six Nations is in 5 weeks' time. It just feels like it's too quick for this competition to be over with it just now, starting back up. But these two sides, they are going to be playing in November. And also they are going to be playing in July. So with that being said, for the Italians, we'll go like this. There are the November internationals. They are playing up against the Springboks. Then the week after, playing up against Argentina. And then playing up against the Fijians. Close out those November internationals. For the Scottish, they have got their games up against New Zealand, Australia, and also up against Japan. And then both these sides playing in July as well. So plenty of rugby still to come for these two teams. And we have got there, Italy are no more pushovers in World Rugby. And any plans for George to join for a Super Rugby stream? By any chance, you can't hate a George live stream, says Brownie. Hopefully we'll be able to convince him to come on at some stage. The last stream we had him on for was, I believe it was maybe New Zealand versus Tonga in the Pacific Championship. And he left at halftime with a pack of chicken wings that he showed off to the stream. But I think that's the last time that we had him on a stream. Not because of the chicken wings, just because he has been busy ever since then. We have got there, Hamish, you should have a Discord or TikTok channel so you can have guests come up and speak at halftime. That sounds very risky. Because, for one, you never know what someone's going to do when they're on a live stream. And it would probably be quite difficult to organise. You'd have to do some screening checks beforehand to make sure that people aren't going to do anything crazy. I can't wait for the North versus South tournament, says the 40s. And more excitement with the Kiwi Lads commentary, says JD. Here comes 10 minutes of ads on France TV as well, says the Blue Nomad. Yeah, a little bit of time before the second half does get underway. We'll mention some great players off of the bench for both of these teams. I think Darcy Graham, they may look to get him out there relatively early. I don't think that Jamie Dobie has done too much wrong. They may look at Kyle Stain as the replacement in that back line, but I don't know whether or not you can take him off, seeing as he's got that experience. But I actually think that's the change I would make. Seems like under the high ball at the moment, Stain hasn't been that consistent, which could be costing them big time when it comes to possession in that second half. George might even munch up some thick booty, says Dawny. And also we have got there, Italy put on a good show. The Box last year, they're dangerous on their day, especially at home, says Joe Mann. And yeah, they've looked the goods throughout this first 40 minutes. They've seemed in control of this contest. Now, this game is far from over. There's still another 40 minutes remaining in this matchup. And we're just going to have a quick look at the moment in terms of the odds. What are we sitting at? Currently, Scotland are underdogs in this match. They are $2.25 unders compared to Italy, who are the $1.67 favourite now. So starting to get a little bit rewarded in terms of the betting odds. In terms of those odds there. Italy playing a bit cowardly. How do you have an advantage in the opposition 22 and you take a drop goal? That's why Italy can't step up to the next level. I mean, if they were going to take the 3 points anyway, though, and in their mind they were going to take the 3, do you not just go for the 3 straight away? And save yourself a little bit of time? Because if they had kicked for the corner after going for that drop kick, different story. But what they did was they went for a drop kick and then they got the 3 points for the drop kick about half a minute later by taking the 3 points. But then that second drop kick was an interesting one. I think that was just more to play a bit more of that territory and maybe take an extra 3. What did the stats show? Which team committed the most penalties? I believe Scotland were the most penalised. I'll quickly get those stats up, though, to make sure that we're not lying. 1 second. We'll go like that. And we'll go like that as well. And the only guest Hamish needs is Tony from Distracted Sports. Him and you, perfect duo. Says Brownie there too. Yeah, we have to try and get something going with Tony in the near future, I think. That could be the goal for 2026, just to do a whole heap of other collabs. At the moment, in terms of the discipline, what do we got stats-wise? Got a massive ad for a resort at the moment that's popped up here, but discipline currently, penalties conceded, it's actually 6-6, believe it or not, or at least that is the way that it sits on the Six Nations website. Defensive penalties conceded, though, all 6 have been conceded by Italy on defence, whereas Scotland are 3-3 in terms of their offensive penalties and defensive. So that's a little bit interesting. It looks like bowling pitch. And also we have got there, they both had 6 penalties each, says Samuel. And also we've got India 118 for 7 now. In terms of the score, and Hamish is in the semi-finals. I missed it at work, says the 40s. So the semi-finals, first one is Fiji versus New Zealand. So a repeat match of what we saw in the Singapore Sevens. And then the second one is South Africa versus Australia. It was a pretty close finish in terms of Australia versus Great Britain. Had Great Britain won that game, it would have been Aussie and Great Britain going through. But narrowly missing out and New Zealand going through. And kia ora, bro, did you enjoy Waitangi Day? Says Andrew. I'll be honest, it wasn't that much of a different day for me. It was just I got to watch the rugby in the morning. And then from there, just got the weekend ready. So pretty much what I would normally do on a Friday or a Saturday anyway. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have enjoyed having the shorter week for work. And Italy normally bottle it in the last 20 minutes, says Patrick. And yeah, currently I don't think 8 points is enough to be able to go on to win this one. Like, maybe 8 points at full time after scoring a couple more tries, and maybe Scotland score a couple tries too, but I just feel like 1 try for Scotland seems a little bit light at this stage of the match, but that is also down to the great defence that we've seen from the Italians throughout. It's whether or not they can keep that rhythm going. The second half, I would say, is only a few minutes away from starting back up. What's your thoughts on India being the cleanest country in the world? Says Shorts. I mean, I've never been there, so it's probably a bit of a tough one to judge. And we are bad. Gregor has to see he's the problem. Yes, see, in this scenario, what do Scotland need to do to change their game? And don't say change their coach just yet. 40 minutes in, down by 8 points. Is it a case where you need the bench to start making their way onto the field? Ben White, for me, he's done his job with the box kick, don't get me wrong, but I think that George Horn offers that little bit more on attack here, and that might be the difference maker. I think they need to get Graham out there, get Horn out there, and then just look to be a little bit more aggressive. Yes, you're playing the conditions because it is box kick weather with the amount of rain that's falling down, but they're also giving up a lot of possession throughout this first half. So if they can get their hands on it just that little bit more and, you know, just have a bit of an attack going. I don't think they'll take Ben White off, though, because normally what they do is give George Horn like 10 minutes at the end of the game to try and completely change it. But do let me know, if you were in charge of the side, what would you change? In terms of the second half, would you change tactics? Would you change a player who's out there on the park? Or is there just a little tweak that they need to have to right some wrongs? Basics from Scotland, kick to compete. Take points if they're on offer, says Douglas. Yeah, that's true. They turned down 2 3-pointers throughout the first half, which did turn into 0 points in total. Also had a couple quick taps that they went for throughout the first half also, although I believe the second quick tap led to their first try, eventually, of Jack Dempsey. Looks like bowling pitch in Mumbai. And also we have got there, yeah, I don't like smoking. Says our pads are there. I just can't get over how much it's raining at the moment. Scotland need a few more South Africans in the team, says South Kid. Outside of anything like that, of course, like I mentioned, they can't change the team that's on the field now, so what can they do in this game specifically that helps them out? Because they were a bit rusty, but I also do think that if they have a couple little corrections, it could actually go all right the second 40 minutes. Scotland backs are better than the forwards, but they keep playing the forwards, see short videos. Yeah, I mean, Dobie's looked all right when he's had the ball in hand, but he's only touched it maybe 2 or 3 times, and the rest of the times he's had to go up for that aerial challenge. Razor in, says Cobber. Just showing highlights of New Zealand versus South Africa from the last competition of the Sevens. This much rain is not normal, very wet here too this winter, and it rained in Wales for the last month, bro, says Andrew. I wonder, is it raining in England at the moment for Twickenham Stadium? Is it going to be a rainy game too? Does anyone know the weather at Twickenham? I would ask Siri, but she yells at me when I try and ask for weather reports, as some of you guys will know. But yeah, it would be intriguing. Now, if that game's also affected by rain. And to be fair, it would be kind of nice if it was, just because then everyone's in the same boat. Some floods in Italy. Spain and France right now, says the Blue. Every place in Europe has lots of rain, says South Kid. And also, we have got there, I love you, don't I know you from somewhere? Definitely not no, says Ruth. And yep, it's raining in South England. Also, that game might be impacted big time by the rain too. Does that kind of benefit Wales? Not saying that that's going to mean that they win, but I would think that if it's a rainy day, that maybe England won't be able to play as aggressive of an attacking style. Might help them a little bit. Second half of this game. 1 second, we'll go like this. Go like that. I am just checking it now. First half ended about 12 and a half minutes ago. So I would say we're literally 2 or 3 adds away from both sides making their way back out onto the field. Now, we mentioned a lot about the bench of the Scottish, but there are some very handy players off of this bench for the Italians as well. They've got Federico Ruza to just shore up those lineouts a little bit, which were shaky at times for the Italians in the first half. I've got Alejandro Garbisi as the option to replace Fusco. Met Office says Twickenham will be dry, says Ben Williams. Okay, so hopefully that is the case. We get one game of rugby that isn't affected too much by the rain. What will benefit Wales if they're sick of losing, says Andrew. And Scotland is dry but cold. And also England forwards are good in the wet, says Please and Tease. Yeah, that game could be one-sided. I'm hoping it's going to be close. At the moment, it seems like this game is going to be the closest of the weekend by maybe quite some margin. And losing by less than 40 will be a good start. I'm Welsh, says Ben Williams. You see, Wales, a lot of people are heading into this tournament thinking that the Welsh are going to go absolutely terribly. So anything more than that is kind of a bonus, if that makes sense. Like if they only lose to England by 20 points, like that would actually be extremely strong from the Welsh, just putting into perspective where they are at the moment. But now, oh wow, Ben White has just slapped the turf just to see what type of water comes up. And literally, he pretty much formed a puddle when he wiped his hand through the grass. It's going to be torrentious. Torrentious, is that a word? That feels like a word. I wouldn't be able to spell it, but it's been torrentious rain. Torrential rain is what you'd normally say, but can you say torrentious? Just doesn't quite sound right, but at the same time, if it's not a word, I'm going to make it a word. Wales will be ready for the next World Cup. Let's go, heavy rain is gone, says Short Videos there. And Ireland still bottom of the Six Nations currently, says South Kid. That is true. Torrential. So you can't say torrentious. You can't add the little bit of extra on it. Torrential. It sounds, yeah, no, I don't know. I'll add it to the dictionary. Do they do that? You email someone and they add it? Now kick off here for Scotland. 8 points down. Heading into the second 40 minutes of this contest. And it's been pouring down here 60 kilometres from London. Down at the pub to take the abuse. Says Flesham, this one's kicked off all close to the sideline. Italy doing very well to keep this one in the field of play, although Scotland not going to drive them straight at a touch. And it's a good start to the second half for the Scottish side. I've been listening to you for 5 years from Methoni in Greece. You are a lifeline for me being a rugby nut. Many thanks, most excellent commentary, young man. Keep it up, says Adam. Thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated. And it's always awesome to hear where people are watching these live streams from. I think we've covered a lot of countries around the world, which is absolutely incredible. Ewan Ashman, ready to throw this ball in again for the line out. Goes over the top, and it's a mistake. That is what Scotland cannot afford, although it's another charge down kick. That's been happening a lot in this game of Monticello. Boy, has he got pace. He's got the man on the outside, decides against using him. Now this is really getting slippery out there on the field for the players, but Italy are on the attack. 22 metres out from the line. Nice piercing run from Murray goes to Polo Garbisi. And Scotland have gone from the attack to now being in a really dangerous position, but they have managed to get in the breakdown and win the penalty at a crucial time. Monticello World Player of the Year. Tell you what, from how he started, he could definitely be in the nominations. That is brilliant work from Tommaso Monticello there. Just takes off. Pure speed from him. And then breaks through a weak defensive tackle effort from Tom Jordan. Have a Wales shirt on, so it will be an easy target. Says Fleshan. No rain forecast at Twickenham for the game. Cloudy, but no rain. A great turnover to win there for Scotland after losing 80 metres off a mistake at their line-out. Like they've said, long way to go still for the second half. Line-outs lost so far. We have seen 3 lost by the Scottish. Scots are really needing to find someone quickly. Yeah. If they don't score before, I would say 60 minutes, it's another poor line-out. Luckily, though, how is that not a knock-on from Italy? I'm sure that man just dropped it, and then I guess it landed on his boot. They're trying to call it as not a knock-on. That looked about as clear as day. And it's going to be a penalty, though, awarded to Scotland for offside. On holiday in Thailand, waiting for England to beat Wales big, says Stephen. Yeah, we are going to be covering that match on the channel as well. Hopefully it's not too one-sided, but at the end of the day, for England to win the Six Nations, they will need that bonus point from this first contest to put them in the right direction. Game being played at a pool from all the water, says South Kid. All right, that one's kicked into touch now, 15 metres out from the try line. Is this a change that is about to be made? Maybe not quite. Looked like there was one of the Scottish players just warming up on the sidelines. Now Ewan Ashman. Ready to throw this ball in. Goes to the front, and again it is stolen by Italy. They are reading this line out like a book at the moment. And Scotland, they will have to make some sort of drastic change here. Tumultuous rain. That's a good word. Currently 5 metres out from the line. Scotland do not have the possession. Italy will be able to roll this one back and get this one moving. And holy cannoli, Italy can win this decided. They are certainly in a great position at the moment. That kick has not found touch. So Scotland now with a counter-attack and chance getting through the tackle attempt of Lewis Lino was Jamie Dobie. And a couple decent runs in that first half as well. Just hasn't really touched the ball enough for the Scottish in this contest. Now to the right once more. Another little shuffle there from Sione Tuipulotu. And back across to the left. 22 metres out from line. Carry from Scott Cummings. Englishman who lives in Wales and follows the Scarlets. Figure Wales will do well to hold England to 40. Says Stephen. That's a lot of rain at the moment. And one thing that might make that game a bit more one-sided is if it is dry. Now, quick rush defence there from Juan Inacio Brex. 8 phases in for Scotland. They are still situated on the 22. Now Ewan Ashman, flat attack and run into Ferrari. Back across White. Goes to Sione Tuipulotu. We haven't seen that normal crash ball running of that man throughout this contest. Zuliani's on that ball. He's been told to let it go, though, by the referee. Come on, Scots, says Rupert. They will need a try very soon. They want to get themselves starting to find that momentum in the second 40. The big clean out of the breakdown. Simeone Ferrari making the tackle there on Rory Dash. Now no advantage. That is for offside and a knock on there from Ben White. Does cause them to go back for the penalty. And we have got there, looks like a real scrappy game, this says Kyle. It's got a lot more scrappy too, with the fact that the players are struggling to keep their feet underneath them due to the wetness. It looks like you can actually play rugby in a pool. Are they basically swimming when they're on the ground now, says Sided? Yeah, you definitely want to keep your mouth closed when you go on the ground, or else you're eating a full mouthful of water and mud. It looks like they're going to call for the 3 points here, Scotland. It was something that someone mentioned at halftime, how Scotland needed to take their points when they were available. Of course, it's important that this kick does go over. But it also looks like we weren't too far away from seeing a change there of George Turner to make his way onto the field. That is due to the shaky line out, 1 from 1 so far for Finn Russell today. The Aussies are on a build-up to the World Cup. I heard you and your mum want for coach, bro. I'm not that fussed because, like, at the end of the day, there's a lot of water between the sticks, but that is going to be over from Finn Russell. Like, I'm happy enough to see anyone in a coaching jersey, and maybe that's because I'm not as biased as I possibly should be, but, like, I'll be happy with any of the 3 options as long as they do all right and they don't completely butcher it. And we have got there Scotland getting tired of missing lineouts, I see, says South Kid. Yeah, well, it must be frustrating. They're up to about 5 lineouts now that they've lost, and that's in touch. Now, was it carried out by Scotland, or was it out on the full from the Italians? France beat Ireland with 36-14, says Bradley. They certainly did. Yeah, its foot was on the line. So, does that count as going back? As your dad, the New Zealand coach? He is not. So you're sitting on the fence pretty much here. It's easier that way. A lousy weather follows the Scots, says Joe. England or Wales this afternoon. England, I was going to say definitely should win, but I don't know if definitely is the word we should be throwing around now. Nice inside pass. Oh, big bump off of Jamie Dobie. So of the mindset that Darcy Graham should be out there on the field at this point in time. And Smith would be a natural choice, says Andrew. And are you in the rain, Hamish? I'm currently inside. I don't think it's raining where I am, though, which is quite nice. Now, Juan Inacio Brex, 10 metres out from the line for the Italians. And this one moving off to the right once more. Short little pop pass up to Zuliani. 3-man tackle from Scotland's defence. They're getting in the breakdown, and a penalty awarded to Scotland. Now, there's a bit of a question mark there of whether or not Dempsey had rolled away enough And I believe the decision from Ben O'Keefe is yes. All Blacks score, would you rather prefer as an All Blacks coach? Score, would you rather prefer as the All Blacks coach? Or are we talking as the coach? Wales not winning, little bro. Says short videos. I want Wales to win, says Rupert. As long as they can get some sort of bonus point from that game, I think for the Welsh, they would be pretty happy with it. But yeah, it's going to be a massive performance if they manage to get over the line. I'm not seeing any traditional Italian hand signals. Says cited and Welsh to win are going to make it a game, says Ruth. Oh. Potential foul play here. Okay, there's too much of an echo. I didn't actually hear what Ben O'Keefe was saying there. Right, shoulder to head and the tackler's upright is the call from the TMO. On 7 blue. So that is on Manuel Zuliani. Right, Zuliani was heading in here. Oh, it's Ewan Ashman who's made the tackle on him too. He was slightly heading in an upright direction. My score is still in play, 23-34. Wales can't even win a toss of the coin, let alone a game of rugby. Says Sylvia. Right, the home crowd advantage is certainly getting into this one at the moment. They are shouting for it to be at least a yellow against Ewan Ashman here. Right, they're saying right shoulder's direct contact to the head. Okay, they believe it is a penalty. But it doesn't sound like it's going to be anything more than that. So that is a bonus for Scotland. The last thing they want now is to have a man disadvantage. Right, they're going to just have it as a penalty. There's nothing else more than just that penalty by the sounds of it. Right, player is upright, tackler's at fault, not a high degree of danger, so it goes back for just that penalty in favour of the Italians. But it will be a gifted 3 straight out in front of the post. So Scotland doing the hard work to get themselves 3 down the other end. They then end up conceding not too long after. Currently eating Nutrigrain by the handful. It's 4:17 a.m. in the morning. So is that your breakfast or is it just a snack, John? And also, yeah, I'm subscribing. Thank you very much, Rupert. We are going to be back with plenty more of the Six Nations, including that game between England and Wales. So Paulo Garbisi is getting ready to slot this kick, or at least he should be able to slot it over. It is straight out in front of the posts. It's still absolutely pouring there. 49 minutes through. And Italy will take the lead back by 8. Still time left in this contest, but Scotland once again just starting to fall behind that little bit. Does bro ever sleep? Not much on weekends. As we have still got that next game taking place between Wales and England. And then alongside that tomorrow we've got the Sevens that I'm also going to be covering on the channel. One moment, I'm about to sneeze, so I'll very quickly mute and pop off to the side for a second. There we go, we are back. And we have got there, I would have had me breakfast before I even wake up. I'm too good. And 70s Welsh rugby team was the best in Europe and at the top of the world in many of the Fifth Nations tournaments. Says Felipe there, but Ewan Ashman here has made his way off the field. So that is the last straw for Gregor Townsend. Obviously that penalty doesn't make coach too happy. But they've made that one change just for now. I don't think anyone else... Oh no, head injury assessment. Jamie Dobie's off for Darcy Graham. Now, outside of it being a head injury assessment, that's a change that I feel should have happened earlier. Maybe not Jamie Dobie though. I would have probably replaced Kyle Stain. Get Graham out there for that right wing side. I saw Ireland versus France. We certainly did. We covered it on the channel. And it didn't quite go the way that we did expect. A loose ball penalty is awarded to the Italians. This one's 50 metres out, so a bit too far, I would say, to be able to take the 3 from here. Big smile on the face of Simeone Ferrari after he wins another penalty for his Italian side. Time to get the big guns out. This has gone too far, says Barbrick. And you better get Hamish Cold good rum and coke for his never-ending colds. And self-control wins matches, says Felipe. Yeah, we see it there. It was actually the big push from Pierre Skurman initially, but he popped up. And then on the far side, that's a tricky one. I almost could have seen that scrum going the other way in terms of the penalty. LOH and you rugby lovers, come on the Scots. See Jacques there. Now Italy throw it in. Passing it back across now to Fusco. Another try here for Italy. We'll put them one away from a bonus point. Gowns in there. Out. Franco Smith in. Says Chris. Now left again. Oh, penalty. Goes the way of Scotland. A neck roll in the breakdown. Italy again. They just almost had that big chance. And then they let it slip through the fingertips. 21 in the final over. Says John there. Right, Finn Russell does get given the mark by Ben O'Keefe. They'll be able to kick this one downfield again, Scotland. I think that they need to get George Horn out there. Once again, Ben White hasn't been that bad today, but tactically I feel like they have to start really looking to attack here, Scotland. Because if they're playing a 3-point game of tennis up against the Italians, normally the Italians would win that. Definitely with the ill discipline from Scotland, they need to start chasing some tries, and I feel like the way to do that is to get Horn out there for that attacking style of rugby that he plays. Shows it time and time again throughout the URC. Can he get the chance here for Scotland? Will they leave it for the final 5 minutes? Odds of Henry Arundel hat-trick today. He's got a decent chance, to be fair. Arundel does score a lot of tries. I see that Tom Roebuck is also into the team rather than Fiwa Bosso, a late change for the English. That's a drop ball from Lewis Liner. Okay, Ben O'Keefe has just ruled there that that one was not going to be playing the man in the air due to both men. They were going to go up for it. There's a huge amount of water. Every time someone lands, they create just a massive splash. And 18, I'm quite surprised. It should have listened to me. I did say Yadav would keep India in it if he stays in. I keep thinking Scotland is going to come back, and then they make some huge mistake. Says Ben. Oh, that was lucky. They lost their line out again there, Scotland, but it was slapped straight into touch by the Italians. Similar to what we saw in that first half. I think this is probably my lucky match because I'm studying Macbeth by William Shakespeare. Says Rupert. But Ashman looking disappointed on the sideline. Italy almost able to get the steal again at line-out time, but it sits up for Matt Ferguson. Now Dempsey, the lone try scorer for Scotland. Now into the pocket. Oh no, Ben White's going for a box kick here. See, they're only sitting, I would say that's 30 metres out from the line. The mark was not taken cleanly by by Italy, so at least they get the possession back here for the Scottish. It's just one of those tactics that if it works, it's great, but if it doesn't, you're just giving away the ball in a game that you haven't had a huge amount of it throughout the second half. Now Matt Ferguson, big collision there, looked a little bit high from the Italian defence. Looks like there's also an injury on the far side of the field. There is an advantage now for Scotland too. Looking to get it through their forwards. That ball's left behind. They'll go back for the penalty. Right, another offside against the Italians, who have now given away, I believe that is 7 defensive penalties. They're going to have time off here just to deal with this player injury. Scots will win, says Rupert. Need Scotland to score around 3 times with only 2 or 3 conversions and 1 penalty kick, and Italy score 1 more time and miss the kick, says John. Looks like a relatively serious injury. Saw it was a fella with headgear, so that's either Zuliani or Juan Inesio Brex. I think Zuliani, though, if I had to guess. That means another change may end up taking place here. To make sure the bloke doesn't drown when you're lying on the ground in these type of conditions. It is extremely wet underfoot. A small bit of rainfall, says Barry. And 90 to 10, 10% of my picks. I had 23-34 full-time score, says John. Currently 25 minutes left. Just showing Princess Anne. I'm sure she will not be impressed with what she's seen throughout this matchup from Scotland. And a wee bit of rain has piled on the ground, I see, eh? Says John. So when are we watching the Winter Olympics? Says South Kid. I don't have any plans of doing any Winter Olympics on the channel at this stage. Mainly because I just have, I have no idea of anyone in it. Like I mentioned about it earlier on, how, New Zealand-wise, I don't even know who's at the Winter Olympics at this stage. We see Blair Kinghorn there wearing his poncho, trying to keep dry. I feel like that's only going to work for so long, though, before you do get absolutely soaked. I give Hamish a red card give a red card to all the Scottish players. Right, so Zuliani is off, and they're actually going upstairs here. A TMO check of Zuliani's last collision. I've already said this, but I want Scotland to win this match. But the main team I support is the All Blacks. To play in these conditions, here's Barry. Right, they're checking the timing of this clean out. This could be a big moment in this contest. Going to see it now. Zuliani was on the ground. Oh, that's an ugly one. Scotland may have just blown their chance of getting back into this game. I believe it was Nathan Macbeth who came in from above, hit the Italian player Zuliani on the top of the head. And if Italy scores, then it's over for Scotland. But at this slippery stage, Scotland may just win this one. Scotland 16 in trouble here. Oh yeah, in fact, it's George Turner rather than the man who I initially said. I think I said Nathan Macbeth, but no, it is George Turner. He's gone, says Johnny. Yeah, it does seem like this is going to be at least a yellow card here. Right, contact with the head. He's late. It's a yellow card and an off-field review now. That could be a game-changing one for the Scottish team. A wet ground, a wet ball can change the game. This atmospheric conditions should help Scotland rather than Italy. And just a yellow plus review, says Barry there. So George Turner, that's going to be extremely annoying for Gregor Townsend because he took off Ewan Ashman because of his shocking lineouts. He gets the other man out there, and George Turner, who then ends up giving away a yellow card within a very short amount of time, which then means that if they want to have a scrum, then we are going to see Ewan Ashman back out there on the field, throwing the lineouts once more. And bloody hell, mate, check out bloody Italy, says Jason. And a yellow for Italy, a yellow for Scotland. So they went from having a penalty just out from the line, Scotland, to then conceding, and Italy having the line out about 40 metres out from their own line. Italy might actually win, says Rupert. And they're not sitting too badly at the moment. They've got all the momentum at this point of the contest. And if they can score once throughout this 10-minute period of 14 men on the field for Scotland, that could be the difference maker. And now through the middle there. Trying to defend that one was Pierre Skurman, but it pops out the back for the Italians. It's a good test for Scotland. We have rallied after losing a man. But I'm pessimistic, says Barbrick. Now it's kicked high by the Italian, slapped back by Lewis Liner, cleaned up by Scotland. Jack Dempsey trying to run down that short side. He is still the lone try scorer in this match for Scotland. We are 55 minutes through the fixture. Will that yellow card fire up the Scots? They have decided again to go for that box kick. And mind if you give my last comment a gander with a quick little read, please, says John. I hope it's something slightly related to the game. Hamish felt personally attacked by that last red card given to him, is what John said. I see. And Italy to finish third this year, says Barry. All ball is out there. Fusco under a lot of pressure. Now 24 minutes now remaining on the clock. And Garbisi will play half. Now that is Polo rather than Alejandro. And does Scotland have no hooker now? So theoretically out there on the field, currently they don't. But they can bring back Ewan Ashman if there is like a scrum or something along those lines. But they would have to sacrifice another player to be able to do so. Lewis Liner went up for the ball. Didn't take it cleanly. And we have got there, I have Italy to win, says Joe. And why is Turner even in the team? Barely's played all season. But Hiddleston, who starts every week for Glasgow, can't make the team. Again, Townsend out, says Chris. Yeah, I feel like there are interesting choices that seem to be happening. I swear Hamish sees my comments and he's just like, what is this man smoking? Too much Nutrigrain, I think. How many players would need to be uncontested scrums? So pretty much if Ewan Ashman made his way on, tell you what, this is interesting. Matt Fagerson throwing the line out. He can't get any worse than what we saw from Ashman earlier on. Oh, wow, that is a shocking line out, but it's actually kind of straight enough. It was actually more on side of the Italians, but they didn't throw up a man. It's more boring than France game, says Mohadin. I'm sure it's not boring for the Italians. They'll be absolutely loving this. They're up by 8 with only 23 minutes left. Now aerial challenge, nicely taken by Darcy Graham. One of the main reasons that I thought they should have brought him on earlier in this contest. When that aerial challenge, Finn Russell kicks it high. Chasing after this now is Kyle Stain. Going up for a beautiful take from Monty Ioane. I wonder at what stage in this contest Scotland are going to win or realise that they aren't winning the aerial battle in this game. I think Scotland is going to get some fire in them and bring it back for the win, says David Williams. A kick downfield from Finn Russell, looking for the 50-22, but back covering is Leonardo Marin. Going for a 50-22 of his own. That ball's not going to roll too far due to how wet it is. It has pulled up 5 metres out from the Scottish line. Hugh Jones now in charge of the kick downfield. It's actually a very good kick from Hugh Jones. A nice commentary. Be good to have a clock somewhere on the screen. So we do have the clock there, the one that says 56. It is slowly ticking over every once in a while. It's up to 57 now. Listening to this on the way to work, and honestly, as a Scotland fan, it's just making me miserable. Maybe a wee bit dramatic, says Shannon. To be fair, though, it has been a poor game from Scotland overall. And they just, they haven't played well. I could say a lot more, but it all depends on whether they win. Because if they come back and win this game, then, you could still argue that they could have done worse. They've managed to win a line out against the steal, or against the throw there, though. To halfway, Ben White again going for the box kick. They just seem to have run out of ideas. Monty Ioane takes that ball, knocked back onto the side of the Italians, although looks like Scotland may have snuck that one when it was transferring to the back. Now Matt Fagerson. Is this the chance for Scotland to get something moving? Ben White goes off to the right. The hands of Gregor Brun. Oh, knock on there from the Scottish. Oh, almost a fly kick to the face of Ben White. I shaved my cat today, such a normal sentence. She had a date, made her eat some pineapples for the young lad. And not our best start for Scotland, says Brandon Edwards. I feel like Townsend trying to save our good big players for the England game is just going to make us pay for it in this game, says Shannon. Yeah, and the thing is, those players that have been left out, they now have to make sure they play their best game up against the English. Because if they play poorly in that game to Scotland, then you pretty much have nowhere to go from here. It's time to maul, says Barbrick. Looks like Rory Daj will make his way off of the field now. Only 60 minutes now passing on the score. On the clock, still another quarter of the game remaining. Now going off to the right-hand side. Italy running it out from inside of their own 22. So that is Ewan Ashman now on the field. Due to that scrum taking place, they did have to take him off. So another 4 minutes remaining of that George Turner yellow card. Kicked high again from Fusco. Oh, big collision in the air. It's knocked on by Scotland. Italy now back in position. They'll go back for the initial scrum. I need to go to Specsavers, says Jack. To be fair, it is quite small. I'd assume, depending on what device you're on. If you're on a phone, it's probably one that it's pretty hard to pick up. Plus, it kind of with the red, it does, I wouldn't be able to read it from a distance. That's all I'll say. I am slightly getting worse with my eyesight, though. And I from Spain, are you doing a commentary for Wales versus England? We certainly are. That game coming up just around the corner. We will be starting that live stream in, I believe it is 50 minutes' time. And Italy is a difficult team to beat on their own turf. They have a tremendous support. It gives them wings, says Felipe. And WF is with their handling here, says Barbrick. Yeah, it's hugely wet. But at the same time, I don't understand the tactics at the moment from Scotland. And once again, I feel like they are losing the aerial battle, yet continue to engage in the aerial battle. Big scrum from the Italians. They've got themselves the penalty advantage now. And they will be awarded the penalty. Italy are no longer the whipping boys of the Six Nations, says Hori. Italy is solid, but Scotland is doing the basics right. Or is not doing the basics right, sorry, says Ben. Not driving straight will be the penalty against Scotland here. I believe it's Xander Fagerson who they have pinged. Oh my goodness, WF is Scotland doing? Looking like losing it at the moment is the best way of describing it. Currently, it is suspended in terms of the odds. I assume that is because of Italy having an attacking line out. Right, time is off. Kicking the ball like Ireland did. And surely Scotland should be at least a little better in the wet than they are playing. Okay, the degree of danger isn't high, so it will remain as a yellow card. Oh, it's a penalty. Says Jason, something that Scotland have given away many of throughout this second half. And also about my cat. You made me choke on banana skin. Says John, how much food are you eating, John? You mentioned about handfuls of Nutri-Grain. Now you're eating a banana by its skin as well, rather than the main fleshy part of it. Now right-hand side, off the bench, Alejandro Garbisi has made his way on. Oh, looks like a bit of an injury here on the near side of the field. Oh, big knock on from the Italians. Neither of these sides able to hold it too easily at the moment. This will be a huge upset. Says Cameron. I hope our manager gives our team a massive bollocking after this match. Come on, Finn, says Jason. And I thought the Italian scrum line would give a little bit of a headache to their opponent. And what happened to the card? It was regarded as not a high degree of danger. So it's just going to be the yellow card. It isn't upgraded to a red. What's your prediction for England-Wales game? Realistically, England should win by about 35, maybe more. But I'm hoping for a game split by 15. Just to see it be a bit closer. I'd love to see Wales score a few tries, just to give them some confidence. Right, the changes that possibly should have been made a little bit earlier on in the game. George Horn about to make his way on. He could be a game changer here. Butterfingers everywhere. Wet conditions are the worst. Now scrum feed here for the Scottish scrum. Finn Russell now looking to boot this one downfield again, trying to play a bit of territory. Awkward bouncing ball, but cleaned up by the Italian back three. Kicked high. Running on to this. Nice take from Finn Russell. He is tackled by Marin. Townsend, the epitome of a losing coach. Says Sexter. Now 40 metres out. It's from their own try line. Still 50 seconds remaining of this yellow card. This cast only makes non-favourites win. Here's a bloody curse. So here's Mr. Everything. Sadly, it doesn't quite work that way, though. We've seen a lot of favourites win on the channel as well. But the thing is, if we cover so many games, surely eventually someone's got to win who's an underdog, right? Like, it's just the way that it works out. We've probably covered how many games of sevens? We've done about 15 games of sevens today, and only about 2 underdogs have won from those games we've covered. Now passed on the outside. That's poor. From Scotland, it goes straight into touch. And it means that it's another stoppage. Scotland will now make their changes. A great accent, love Dundee. And also we have got there Rupert Righto. And also as this Scotland, it's an interesting one from you, Martin. And already, you the best person on YouTube. I always talk good of you, Hamish. Says Mohaddin. Yeah, that is probably the opposite of what people are talking about Scotland at the moment. As this has been one of the shakier games I've seen from this side. And I don't think, that's the thing. Italy were given half a chance because they were at home here. But Scotland was still not expected to have only had 1 try at this stage. Nicely taken by Italy in the rolling maul. Couple changes have now been made. George Horn is out there. If he scores a try throughout the last 15 minutes, I honestly wouldn't be surprised. Now just looking to roll this one back again for Alejandro Garbisi. And he will kick this one up as high as he physically can to try and get it. To be an aerial challenge. Nice take under the high ball from Kyle Stain. And back across to the left-hand side. George Horn. Told to use it. And he's going to continue the tactics that we saw from Ben White. Do you think it's the weather? To a certain extent it is, but at the same time, like, Italy are playing in these same conditions. And they've looked a lot stronger. All advantage here for Scotland, the big man running forward at number 18 jersey, Miller Mills. Back across to the left, George Horn goes to Jack Dempsey. Hasn't really been the Russell masterclass that some were hoping for. It's going to be another penalty awarded to Scotland. Do they take the 3? Or do you go for the 7? It's a good position on the field. Right, George Horn trying to fire up everyone. He's going around slapping all of his teammates. And that is because they are kicking this one for the corner. They are going all or nothing here for the Scottish team. They have got time, 14 minutes, to be able to get back into it. Italy have reached cruise control stage. They know that they're far enough ahead in this game that if they can just hold on, they take out this match up against the Scots. The Scots normally have a good backline move, says please and tease, and maybe that will now change with George Horn making his way onto the field. But Scotland have only had about a 50% line-out accuracy throughout this game. Why not take the 3? You need a 3 and a try, says Ben. It is a good point. Wow, they're really spraying that man on the ground with a huge amount of spray. I think that was Zabonin. They decided to just completely cover in the cold spray. But he's back up to his feet, so it must have worked. Short throw, Maul guy, says Barbrek. I think that's their best bet, isn't it? Just go close, because anytime they've gone to the front for that line out, they seem to lose that ball. And anytime they've tried to throw to the back, it's kind of gone wrong as well. So, yeah, just a little pop pass to the front. Looks like George Turner, he's made his way back out onto the field. He's not a happy man at the moment. Can it be extra time? No extra time in the Six Nations. A draw is a draw. And that is, I mean, I think Scotland would take the draw at this stage, but they would take a win even more so. And the Italians, oh, tell you what, this is a 14-man maul by the looks of it here from Scotland. They have fully committed to getting this one over the try line. Italy coming through the middle, though, collapsing it. Here comes George Horn on the short side. He scores the try. I told you from the get-go, get that man out there and he will change the game. And he has done just that. George Horn scores on the short side. And Scotland are now back in it. He's got that attacking threat that Ben White at times just does not offer them. And the impact from the bench is felt pretty much straight away from George Horn. Game on, says Patrick. And also someone look at something back there and disallow this try, says so. And try, says starter in there. Are you a magic person, my best friend? Says Mohadin, too late for Scotland. I don't know about that. They're currently down by 3 with 13 minutes left on the clock. It's a great finish from George Horn in the corner. 13 minutes ago, and Scotland is shy of a transformed try and a drop or a penalty. And also, better late than never. The strike of the ball from Finn Russell. It misses away to the right-hand side. So the score will now remain 18 points to 15 with 13 on the clock. But George Horn, he just saw the gap. You could see that he was going over, and he has been fired up since he made his way on. And if we win, what a way to start a shift, says Shannon. Why does Townsend always keep George Horn on the bench? Sick of Townsend, says Powerboy. I have no idea why they didn't bring him on at half-time. Please, Italy, please, says Anu. Nicely taken by Jack Dempsey now, though. Stop ignoring my chats. I know you see them. You just choose not to read them, says John. Most of them aren't related to the game, though, so that is why some of them do get skipped. We have got there. Hi, Hamish. You've changed my mind about how I see rugby, says Cool Story Sharks. I'm going to find your mailbox and give it a sandwich. I wouldn't mind a sandwich in the mailbox, although let me know when it's in the mailbox, because I don't really want a sandwich sitting in there for a couple of days. Oh, this is going to be a scrum feed now for Scotland. I think there's a lot of Scottish in attendance for this game. I'm just listening to the cheers that went around when Scotland were able to get themselves the scrum now. And there was a huge roar. And we just passed out on the Iron Brew. And how's the crowd like crazy? Yeah, it sounds like it's about 50-50 in terms of support. Six Nations ends in 42 days. Says Carmen there, and big Scotland crowd, says Power Bite. But now Italy, they have to regather their confidence here. The last 11 minutes. Get that composure back. Looks like Mikel Lamaro is going to be taken off the field now. He has a big change to make at this stage of the match. Well, we mentioned we've got 40 minutes until that next live stream that's going to be starting up between Wales and England. Hopefully it's as close as this game. I know the under-20s game was close between the two sides. Whose ball says Mohodena to Scotland scrum feed on the halfway line. Scrum has collapsed. No advantage given for either side. Federico Ruza also on the field for Zambonin. Kicked him behind and the mark called by Marin. Decides to take it quickly inside of his 22. Down the middle of the field. Now Finn Russell signals to George Horn that he's going to kick it high, but instead Darcy Graham is going to chase after this one. Garbisi takes it nicely. The mail sandwich is actually good for 4 days, Hamish. You're welcome. Oh, 4 days. Gives you a bit of time. Surely I'll check the mailbox before the 4 days is up, right? Now 10 minutes on the clock. Advantage to Italy, and they are awarded the penalty. Fundamover hasn't been great. For Edinburgh, that's why he didn't make the team. The Glasgow Warriors have been a lot better, says Chris. And also I hope England lose, says Martin, although the chance of losing this round is low, but the chance of them losing in a couple of the other rounds could be a little bit higher. Definitely that game up against France in France. That has taken place in the last round of the Six Nations, which I feel is the perfect time for that game to take place, as it will be more than likely the deciding match of the whole Six Nations comp. Italy now line out here, 45 metres out from Scotland's line. I love the new layout, Hamish. So here's Mr. Dalmo. And yeah, it does seem to work quite nicely in terms of having the player names up on the screen. Makes it a bit easier for you guys who are curious about it, rather than me popping it up every few minutes. What if your mailbox eats your sandwich? Well, I don't know what's wrong with your mailbox. I am in a pickle. Speaking of pickles, see, I'm not a massive fan of pickles, although saying that, I don't think I've ever had a pickle or a gherkin. This one's going to be kicked high, though, by the Italians. Darcy Graham going up for it. It sits up now for Italy. Ball in hand, 3 points in the lead, and a try now could secure this game. A big run forward, again from Favretto. Now inside pass, nicely done from Paolo Garbisi. He got absolutely smashed in the process. And Italian Rugby show on the football side. What competitive means is just the knock on, though, from Italy in the breakdown. Unfortunately, Wales is considered the underdog of the tournament, not Italy. So here's Felipe there. And Italy is losing the plot now, says so. Yeah, just drops at Lewis Liner as he tries to play that ball. Yeah, Italy have been pretty quiet throughout the second half. Scotland have had more chances. Haven't really found their rhythm, though. We have good there. I've seen the film Train Spotting. I haven't. Fun fact. Welsh are like the Scotch lacking in self-confidence. There's Sebastian there. How much does your cat like pineapples? I can shave it for you. My cat's dead. Yeah, he died a while ago. It's spelt losing, not losing. And transporting spoon burners. Says Derek Reed. Now 8.5 minutes now remaining on the clock. Scotland will have the scrum feed, sitting only about 10 metres out from their line. 2 tries apiece for these two sides. No team going to beat France, says Martin. Mikel Lamaro looking on. And commentator says Gregor Townsend talks to his coat. They could well finish with overtime. And also, well, that could well finish. Wait, is there overtime in the Six Nations? Or is it just a draw? Have they added overtime to it? Because I know normally you just have a draw in the end. And come on, Italy, says Sebastian. Now, scrum is successful for Scotland. Finn Russell inside of his 22 will just go as far downfield as he can. Oh, Sione Tuipulotu, he's asking for the penalty. Referee doesn't award it to him. Now passed across to Lewis Liner. 42 metres out. Big driving tackle from Sione Tuipulotu. Now Alejandro Garbisi kicked him behind from Italy. Smart play. Just getting it downfield. To be fair, that O sounds usually is a double O, not a single one. English doesn't make sense, says X-Math. And they accept a draw, says Barbrick. And 80 minutes was all I ever knew, says Derek. And these two sides now have 8 minutes rather than the 80 to try and make something happen. Scotland again have a line out from inside of their own 22. It's the danger zone, though, as we've seen the shakiest line out I think I've seen Scotland have in a very long time throughout this matchup thus far. Drama is unbearable, says Felipe. It's going to be a good finish. Oh, what a steal that is from the Italians. That looked like a forward pass. In fact, it's going to be the penalty, playing the man and his arm. And Federico Rusa cannot believe it. He is infuriated with that decision. Come on, Scotland, says Edward there. It's over. They're not coming back, says Sebastian. Now Russell. Just have to get out of their own half here, Scotland. They've actually been trapped here for the past maybe about 5 minutes. Almost ever since that try was scored. Yeah, Federico Rusa does play the forearm. Scary eyes, that guy. Yeah, he really opened them wide, didn't he? Federico Rusa. Is there extra time? There is no extra time. A draw is a draw. And a draw would make things very intriguing for how the rest of the competition does go. I went to Edinburgh once. Says Sebastian, another change being made. Lorenzo Parni makes his way on for Leonardo Marin. Now down to 6.5 minutes. This is going to go very quickly. The remaining time going to the front there. Smart play, but then it was a forward pass, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was. So Scotland won their line out to then throw a forward pass straight after to give the ball up. It is just not their day at set piece in this matchup. Gregor Townsend is infuriated, as you can probably understand from the way that this one sits. But now, 6 minutes. The draw is a part of the whole draw. That makes it simplicity. I can draw, can win, can lose. I can't woke over time. Says, yeehaw, YOLO. Hamish, can you give us a sexy pic of your mailbox? Wait, oh no, a pic of my sexy mailbox. My mailbox is very, very unsexy at the moment. It's a bit rusted, you know, so it doesn't look great. Another crucial mistake, says Ben there. Yeah, Italy do get themselves the scrum feed on the halfway line because of it. I would like to know what Italy's plan would be if they win a penalty close to the post. Would they take the 3 points to lead by 6, or would they go for the 7 to try and well and truly secure the game? I think they'd take the 3. But the Italian bench are all up on their feet at the moment. Terrible thinking forward pass, says JD. I've got the man of the match contenders. Ferrari is there, Zabonin, Dempsey, and George Horn. You know what? The fact that George Horn is a nomination, the fact that he's only been on the field for 10 minutes, tells you exactly what should have happened earlier in this game, and that is getting him out there much sooner. That's Scotland's fault. They should have never put haggis on a pizza. Hamish, show the boys your pants. I haven't got pants on today. I've got shorts instead. Now, a nice take from Kyle Steyn. Still wet out there on the field, although I think some of the rain has stopped. George Horn off to the right. Oh, knock on there from the Scottish. And we have got there, who's your prediction to win this game from here? Honestly, that big moment right then and there, that could be the game. Scotland have conceded a scrum about 28 metres out from their own try line. And Italy would love nothing more than to get that penalty advantage and wind down the clock just that little bit more. I think Scotland will come back, says Edward. They just need to get a couple things right though, don't they? The Scottish team, they've been making way too many simple errors. Now, yes, you could blame the wet for some of them, but I think some of the others are just down to just not quite getting it tactically right. It's not over yet. 15 minutes is a long time for something to happen. Wait, 15 minutes? They've currently got 3.5 now. So it has cut down drastically in terms of the time remaining. Italy trying to get that scrum penalty. They were holding strong for a bit there. Scotland now the penalty advantage in favour of the Italians. Breaking off the back, Alejandro Garbisi. It's going to be dropped there by both sides, so they will go back for that penalty right in the middle of the field. It's an easy 3. But do they go for that, or do they go for the corner to try and take away a Scottish bonus point? And hope Italy finish 4th this year, says how's it? And whoops, that's that, says washer dryer. Can we get the Highlanders, Ian Patrons, to play for Scotland next week? Wow. Italy have just pretty much proven everyone wrong that have said that they haven't been aggressive enough, because they have kicked this ball for the corner. They are going for the win. But not only that, they're trying to take away any sort of chance of Scotland coming back in this game. The best attack is the best defence, says Felipe, but this is a huge call from the Italians, and they now have to get this right, or else the Scottish can work their way towards a draw or perhaps even a win of their own. But if Italy score now, they will win this game, taken by Federico Rusa. The ball's dropped though, and it's put down off the side of the boot from Dempsey, but the advantage was not over. So because of that, it means that it will be a Scotland scrum, 10 metres out from their line, 2 minutes left on the clock. This game's still not done. We're going to see here, Federico Rusa, where does this ball actually go? It just kind of rolls out. I'm not sure whether or not they missed that transfer back or what happened in that rolling maul, but the ball does not fall favourably for Federico Rusa and his Italian fullback. They will have to go the length of the field here, Scotland, to even get themselves a draw, let alone a win. That kick, yeah, was a bit of a brutal one from Jack Dempsey right off the side of the boot. In fact, it was probably good that he miskicked it so badly, because it at least gave Scotland that scrum, whereas if he had kicked it down the middle of the field, would have been advantage over. Big push from Scotland, and they win the penalty. That is step number 1. They will now be able to exit from their own 22, slowly work their way down the field. There's a bit of feeling out there at the moment between these two sides. It's going to be a Six Nations thriller for the last 60 seconds. It's interesting, this game is getting better by the minute. CSO there. Now Finn Russell kicks it downfield. Does he find touch? Yes, he does. Now from there, 35 metres out from their own line here for Scotland. They have got 40 seconds remaining on the clock here. And they come back and somehow win this game. You'd have to say it would be pretty undeserved, but it would be impressive for them to be able to do so. But George Turner now throws the ball, and that's nowhere near straight. But Italy didn't throw someone up, so you're allowed it to be not straight. As long as the opposition don't contest. Rolling maul here for Scotland. Still moving forward, looking to drag it down here. Still hanging on to it as George Turner. Side entry, second penalty advantage in favour of the Scottish. Sione Tuipulotu passes away to the left-hand side. They only need a try. Ow, that's a hard landing. But Tom Jordan, he smacked his face on the ground extremely, well, I'd say extremely roughly, but is that a word? Extremely rough, I guess. Sione Tuipulotu now stepping across field. You can see every time that man takes a step that there's a splash underfoot, and they'll go back now for that original penalty. Scotland again can rinse and repeat what they just did. Kick it downfield, go for another line out, but they haven't won a huge amount of them throughout this match. Right, there's an HIA happening now. And Dryzes Mohadin there. We're up to 80th minute in this contest now. We have passed the full-time siren, which means any stoppage here would mean that the Italians win. The only stoppage that would not mean that is if it stops because Scotland score. The rain's from Brazil. It's 30 degrees here. I'm away for a swim well after the match anyway. Says Alan. So yeah, hopefully you do enjoy that swim. You have got a bit of a break before that next contest does take place between the Welsh and the English. We are going to be starting that live stream in 25 minutes time, so be sure to all pop in for that stream as well. Last motion of the game. I guess the best team won today, thanks to both teams for a thrilling game, says Felipe. And I'm standing outside my work waiting for the end, or waiting for the game to end to see what happens, says Shannon. But now 81 minutes through. George Turner with the line out. Currently Scotland, they are 38 metres out from the line. Thrown in to the back, claimed by Scotland once more. George Turner, again, that ball has been transferred back into the hands of the replacement hooker. Italy cannot afford to give away a penalty advantage here. And I don't think Scotland would take the 3 points with where they're sitting on the field. They would have to keep on going. Over the breakdown, not able to get the turnover there for the Italians. Finn Russell goes across now. Looks like a little bit of hesitation there. Bit of a counter-ruck from the Italians as well. But ball still on the side of Scotland. Now back across to the left. Jack Dempsey, the man who started it all for the Scottish side. He did score the first opening try for Scotland. Can he score one in the 82nd minute to close out this game. They are playing for an advantage here. Scotland currently looking to go for face play right next to the breakdown and waiting for the Italians to make a mistake. Now George Horn back across to the right again into the hands of Williamson, who made his way off the bench. In fact, that time it was Gregor Brun. Now George Turner still moving forward. They're about 30 metres out from the Italian try line. Big driving tackle on the ground, trying to force them back. A handling error here would end the game. Miller Mills tackled by 2 Italians. Now ball's still there. George Horn, they're not going for anything too expansive here, Scotland either. They know that they have to just play it with 1 or 2 passes. Can't get too risky yet. Not until they've got that penalty advantage, which they haven't managed to get from 16 phases of attack. Italy onto the ball, once again cleaned out. George Turner, pick and go from him. Kanoni, looking at that breakdown like a hawk. Looks at a mice, just waiting for that opportunity to pounce. Up to 17 phases in a row now. 83 minutes through this game. Williamson, no, it's Brown again. Now across to the right. They are still 35 metres out. This is 20 phases in. George Horn trying to find that gap. George Turner manages to run forward nicely. See, George Horn actually had to join that breakdown to keep it on the side of the Scots. 28 metres out from the line now, slowly edging that little bit closer to the try line. Dempsey gets a good leg drive going. 25 metres out from the line. This is phenomenal defence from the Italians to have not conceded an advantage as of yet. Now Alcione Tuipulotu, straightening run, bumps off one of the Italian forwards. Now all chance out wide here for Scotland if they are willing to shift it, but I don't think they are. Finn Russell thought about the wide cutout pass, goes to Hugh Jones instead, little bit isolated. Scotland still moving forward. 15 metres out from the try line, drop the ball backwards. 27 phases in for the Scottish side. Can they pull it off in Rome? Or will it be the win for the Italians? Now it's Williamson with the ball in hand. He's going to be held up. It turns into a maul. If Scotland can't get this ball out, Italy will win the game, and that is exactly what they do. That ball does not come out, and it's a massive win for the Italians here at home in Rome. 18 points to 15. Huge victory for this Italian side. Their Six Nations campaign is well and truly alive. And for Scotland, you can see the frustration, you can see the disappointment. And at the end of the day, they were the second best team out there on the field. Congratulations, Italy. Glad I was wrong, says Cameron there. And I think the Jocks would be able to play in the rain. Says Neil. I thank you for your commentary, Amish. Says Silver Fox. Thank you very much. Great commentary. Better than Radio 5. Says Will. Thank you very much. And yeah, we've got another game just around the corner. Wales versus England. Now, I will mention less of a gap now between these two games, purely because of this game running a little bit longer. Scotland for the wooden spoon. Says Barry, yeah, well, it now makes their game up against Wales that much more interesting. That is happening in the final round of the Six Nations. No, in fact, sorry, Wales and Italy is the final round. I think that Scotland play Wales a little bit sooner than that. Looks like a bit of cramp that Mononcello is dealing with at this stage. I see you in 15 minutes, says Brandon there. And sweet congrats, Italy. Yeah, massive win for this Italian team. They had to dig deep because second half things weren't really going their ways. But they still managed to do it. And well done, Italy, says Edward. Scotland in the wind and rain losing. Wind and pouring rain, Scotland every day. They can't win in conditions perfectly suited, says Andrew. And Wales against Scotland will be blockbuster, says Zero. Disgrace and embarrassment from Scotland. Well done, Italy, says William. Yeah, that work that Italy did in their first half really got them over the line here. Plus, I mean, that line out of Scotland was abysmal. Probably the worst Scottish line out I have seen. I don't know if it's ever, but it's certainly got to be up there. It was only at about 50% accuracy throughout the game. A lot of handling errors there too. Both sides did have them throughout this match. But yeah, Italy just dug deep. They managed to take their points when it was available. Scotland had a few threes that they turned down. They may look back at that and say maybe they should have taken one or two. But Simeone Ferrari, the man who does get the Man of the Match award here for the Italians. It's not very often you see a prop getting that one. But he has done just that. But now question marks around what happens next for these two sides. The Irish, they are going to be going head-to-head with the Italians next week. So that'll be one to keep an eye out for at the Aviva. Whereas for Scotland, their next game will be up against England. And that is going to be a home game at Murrayfield for the Kolkata Cup. They'll have to make sure that they bounce back. They want to be ready for that contest. But yeah, thank you all very much for tuning in. Once again, greatly appreciated you all being here for this matchup. And the next game between England and also the Welsh, that has taken place. We are starting our live stream 20 minutes time, but the game itself kicks off in 45 minutes. So be sure, stick around for that. But nonetheless, thank you all very much for watching. We've got sevens later on today as well, so if you are a fan of that, be sure to tune in. And I will see you all for the next